Pert-em-Hru. Welcome to those on the Facebook, welcome to those on Black Culture Radio, and welcome everybody who's joined us here live on the Zoom. So I'm going to start off how we normally start off. I'm not quite ready. I'll sort out my calabash, do the libation, where we give thanks to the Ludamari for giving us the earth we stand upon, the air that we breathe, the air, the sunshine that gives us life, and also the water that gives us life. All creatures great and small, all the plants and the trees and the foliage and the bush them, as we say back home. We give thanks. We give thanks for that. Also give thanks to our Ori, which is our head, where we follow our Ori. Listen to our intuition. We know what's right from wrong. And I like to start off by calling on the good ancestors that got taken away from the shores of our home and dotted all around the world. I give thanks for their tenacity. I give thanks for their willingness to survive, the willingness to carry on, because the atrocities that they went through, I cannot imagine. Even though you hear the stories, you've read it, you've seen just a little bit in Roots, and that was enough to make us angry when we saw those episodes of Roots when they put it onto the television. But I give thanks for the tenacity, their willingness to carry on, even though they've seen a lot of their loved ones' lives being taken in so many horrible ways. And also seeing people who they know and don't know taking their own lives because they've endured what they went through, and they didn't want to endure anything else or imagine to go through anything else. So they'd preferred to have taken their life, and a lot of them did. But I give thanks to those survived, those who had the tenacity, those who had the strength and the willpower to continue to carry on living and reproducing, because if it wasn't for their strength and their tenacity, we wouldn't be here as a people today. So I give thanks and say Ashe.
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 Thank you. I also give thanks to our leaders, our heroes, our sheroes, our warriors. As you see, my favorite is the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and who's given us the black print for us to follow. I'm not saying that we all should do everything that he did, but we can take up a small piece of the mantle and go with it. Because if everybody does a little bit, then basically a lot can get done. So I give thanks to all of our leaders, our heroes, our sheroes that kicked down those doors, that made those pathways for us to make things a lot easier, even though it's not, we don't have it that easy, but we have things a lot easier because of those warriors in our past, our leaders and our heroes and our sheroes. So I give thanks to all those names we know, names we don't know, some names that may have forgotten, and some names that we'll never know, but they all played a part in helping us to be the people who we are. Let us know that we can rise up, we can stand up, we can fight back. We don't have to be subservient and take everything that's given to us. For all those leaders, heroes, sheroes, and warriors, I say thank you and Ashe.
Ashe.
I also give thanks to my lineage. I give thanks to your lineage. I give thanks to the heads and shoulders of our ancestors, the good ancestors who we stand upon. Those ancestors that's there with us from the time that we're born right through to the time that we pass over to the ancestors. Those ancestors that are there with us, even though at times we think that we are alone, rest assured we're not alone. They are there with us, and they are also there for us to call upon them and call upon our ancestors' spirits and call upon our leaders, heroes, and sheroes' ancestors' spirits, those warriors, to help us to move in the path that we need to move into today, because our backs are practically, well, I realize that our backs are against the wall, but a lot of us don't realize our backs are against the wall. So we have to call on our ancestors for help and for guidance, call on their spirit, call on their warrior spirit to come within us. So for our good ancestors who's there with us, and we call on them. When we call on them and ask them for guidance and help, also ask that their answers be as clear as water, and make our minds be open so we can receive those messages, those signs, because they're going to come in many different ways. A message that you can see, you open a book, you can see a line that you read, and it will resonate with you. Turn on the television or turn on the radio, and the line of somebody speaking will resonate with you. You might see a sign like, I don't know, a bird out of place, or a white feather, and you can't think where this feather come from. Those are signs that to look out for, that our ancestors give us to let us know that they've heard us. So for all our ancestors, our good ancestors, as they're with us, I say thank you and ashe.
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 And I also take this opportunity, as I always do, to say thank you to my grandmother, Stefan Bailey, who's there with me all the way. I've never met her, but I know that she's there with me, guiding me and helping me and keeping me on the right path. So Stefan Bailey, I say thank you and ashe.
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 And I say thank you to my grandfather, Hubert Stair, who we call Mr. Stair.
What? Which of the words?
So if it wasn't for Mr. Stair, I wouldn't know my family. So Hubert Stair, I say thank you and ashe.
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 And I also say thank you to my mother, Iona Pinnock, and my stepfather, Ivan Pinnock. For if they weren't the people who they were, I wouldn't be the person who I am. So I say thank you and ashe.
Ashe.
And this is the time when I open up the floor for anybody who would like to say thank you to loved ones, family, people who they know, people who they don't know, but they'd like to call their name in remembrance to say, well, I remember you and thank you.
I'd like to say thank you and love for my father's mother and father. My father's mother and father. My father, Luther Palmer, his mother, Amity Pearl Palmer, and his father, James Palmer. Also for my mother's mother, Mary Brown, and for my mother's father, Thomas Brown.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I'll do one today.
Hi, Sister Emma.
Hi. I'd like to say grand remembrance to Amadou Mokhtar Gay, my husband, passed 20-something odd years ago.
Oh.
I thank him most gratefully for the children we have, the blessings that he brought into our lives, and how he carries on even on the other side.
Ashe.
And my paternal grandmother, who I never met, but I was told like she was like almost 6 foot and, you know, knew how to use a gun.
Wow. That's a story we need to hear.
Yeah. And she didn't stand any nonsense. And my maternal grandfather, who was my heart, my sweetheart. And he is, I know that he is watching. He was Osai Kwapong, his name was. And my paternal grandmother was called Nana Ampofwe. So thank you.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Good evening. I'd like to say a warm thank you to Brother Dougie.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Anybody else? Okay. All right.
Sorry, Auntie Jean.
Yeah.
Can we can everybody just unmute and just say ashe, 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 or and we open up the floor after that, yeah?
Okay, after 3?
Yep.
Okay, 1, get everybody ready so that they can unmute. 2, there's somebody waiting to get in. Let that person in. three. Ashe.
Ashe.
Wonderful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
We're ready for the night now.
Indeed.
Yay!
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with that now, I say big welcome to everybody to the Garvey Villages Unlock the Chains and Keep Well, which is on our 59th episode or edition or whatever you session or whatever you like to call it. And I give big thank you to Black Culture Radio, those listening on the Auntie Jean's Zone of Black Culture Radio, which is all the W's, blackcultureradio.com. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our sister, Anyanna Ndukwe.
Yeah.
Greetings, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with the family every Friday. I feel uplifted, empowered, and just, happy. So it's a joy.
Wonderful.
Presenting. And what's even sweeter for me is my younger sister, Ezinwa. I think Ezinwa's been in the UK for about 4 weeks. So I'm going to do an introduction, and it is on the basis of that we are going to be teaching and talking about the kola nut and the reverence of the kola nut in the Igbo culture. We'll also be talking about some of the political conflicts that you have possibly heard not enough of, in my opinion. And so Ezinwa will be giving you, from a young person's perspective, life under the regime of Buhari. So that's the context of our presentation this evening. I'm having some problems with my video, so if you don't mind, or my connection, I'll turn this off and then I'll do my presentation. I'll do my introduction, if that's okay. Just bear with me, please. Right, so the Igbo, so in Nigeria, we have, I think there's about over 200 ethnicities or tribes in Nigeria. And Nigeria is a construction of colonialism, which is why we say it was made to be dysfunctional in the nature in which the people were brought together. So there's 3 main tribes: Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. And because we've been using the Yoruba greeting of go well, good spirit, Ashe, I thought it'd be good for us to also learn the other dialects and cultures in Nigeria. So among the Igbo the Igbos live in southern eastern Nigeria, and we are regarded as the source of human sustenance, the land, and the internal sacred pot from which all plants and humans draw their powers of fertility and reproduction. The Igbo venerates land as an earth goddess, and as a predominantly agrarian society, we do not defy land by institution shrines in its honor. However, we may also take titles that regulate that ownership and use of land. Culture, being its way of life, is also intertwined with traditional ways of creating divine living as a means of controlling the conduct of men. So Igbos are known to be extremely organized in how they manage their civility. So in the unspoken communal memory, the economy is the bone and the social institutions are the flesh, where the political institutions are the skin, which grows on that flesh and bone. Hence, all human freedoms are determined by the land and by the economic structures that delivers. Now, obviously, these cultures are being eroded away and are exposed now to extinction because of our colonizers. And so the Igbo culture consequently is gradually disappearing and under threat, like all cultures in Africa. So that's the introduction. And I'm going to now ask Ezinwa to introduce herself and also take you through the different meanings of the greetings in Igbo culture and what the kola nut that we use for these greetings signify.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ezinwa.
Good evening.
Greetings, Ezinwa.
It's nice to be here, really. It's my first time of being on this kind of platform, and I want to say a very big thank you to my sister for giving me this opportunity to be here.
Welcome.
Like she said, I just recently moved here about 4 to 5 weeks now, sometime ending of March. And she brought up this topic. She brought up this idea. She told me it's what happens often, that it would be nice if I play a vital role, since it seems as though I still have fresh memory of what is happening back home. Okay, so I accepted to do it, and here it is now. It's nice to be here once again. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I'll be putting you guys through, firstly, the way we greet in Igbo, because I've been hearing Oshe. It's not as if there is something wrong in that, but I think that's the way the Yorubas greet. So I think I should be taking you guys on the way the Igbo too greet. We have different ways we greet. We have a general way we greet, and we have a specific way particular people also greet, in terms that some kindreds have their own ways of greeting that is just generally accepted to just them, while there is a particular way where we greet and everybody, even if you're not from that particular town or you're not from that particular village, you understand that it's a greeting pattern that everybody should know. So we're going to talk of okay, when we talk of general greeting, we talk of Igbo Izube. That's what we call it in Igbo. Igbo Izube. And in the pamphlet, the leaflet, I saw Igbo written as EBO. I don't think that's the way Igbo is being spelled. Igbo is being spelled IGBO.
Okay.
It was so funny when I saw it. It's IGBO, not EBO. Now we'll anchor on Central Igbo, which is a general Igbo that is being understood by everybody, and not just maybe your kindred or your village. When we greet in the morning, okay, firstly, greeting in the morning means ututu, afternoon means ehihe, and evening means mgbede. I know
Could you repeat that? Because you're going to have to take up your time with us.
Yeah, you have to take
So
time,
you can't just go
definitely.
so fast, because we're
Yeah.
as I said, we're taking it in, we're learning, because
Yeah.
this is like bringing back our
okay.
culture.
All right, sorry. I said morning. Before I tell you how we greet in the morning, we have to know what morning actually means in Igbo, afternoon means in Igbo, and night means in Igbo. Now, morning in Igbo means ututu, like UTUTU, ututu. Afternoon means ehihe, EHIHIE. And night, evening means mgbede, MGBEDE. Why night means abali. A-B-I-L-I.
Okay, could you repeat that? Because I got the morning.
Okay,
Didn't
morning
quite
is
catch. Yeah,
U-T-U-T-U.
yeah.
Afternoon is E-H-I-H-I-E.
A or E?
E-E-E.
E. Okay.
Then evening means M-G-B-E-D-E.
M-G-D-E.
B-E-D-E.
That's evening.
Then night means A-B-A-L-I. Abali.
A-L-I. Okay.
Did we all get that? Sorry.
Yeah, I got that.
You could
All right.
repeat it just in case not everybody got it, please.
All right. In the morning, morning means ututu, U-T-U-T-U. Afternoon, ehihie. E-H-I-H-I-E. Evening, mgbede. M-G-B-E-D-E. Then night, abali. A-B-A-L-I.
Wonderful.
So you
Now
don't
we do-
really pronounce the G.
Sorry?
You don't really pronounce the G.
The G.
Yeah, in the after evening.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You don't.
Okay.
Now in the morning, we generally greet, that's everybody knows how to greet this, not like it's particularly to your village or to your kindred. It's ututu oma. Oma means good. So ututu oma, it's good morning. Same as in the afternoon, ehihie oma. You just have to attach the greeting with the good aspect of it. And good means oma, O-M-A. So in the morning, we greet ututu oma, and it's directly gotten from the dictionary. That's gotten from the dictionary, generally as in directly, the way the two words are attached, good and morning. So when you get to the dictionary, now when you check good morning, you're gonna say tutu oma.
Tutu oma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same as afternoon, ehihie oma, night, mgbede oma. Sorry, evening, mgbede oma, then abali. In the night, great abali oma.
We will share the information. I will get it circulated.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you for that, Anyanna.
Or maybe I could text it as well.
No, don't. You're trying to give me a lot of work to do. This woman, you know, she's just giving me so much to do. I'm
She
thinking,
love it.
No, I was
Start in the
thinking
start.
I could write the words in the chat.
In the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna do something. Yay.
Okay.
Okay, those are actually for the greetings, morning, afternoon, and evening and night. That's for the greetings. Now we also have some other pleasantries we exchange in English that you can also translate to Igbo. Now, in case you want to say words in Igbo like please, words like please, we say biko.
Biko.
Biko, yeah. If you want to say excuse me, you say cheretsu.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, C-H-E-R-E-T-U. Cheretsu.
Cheretsu. And that's
Meaning-
excuse me.
Yeah. Then if you want to say please excuse me, you say biko cheretsu.
Biko cheretsu. Okay.
Then wait. A word like wait is chere. C-H-E-R-E. And the major one I feel we all should know is the thank you, which is dalo or imela.
Dalo.
Dalo. Imela.
Dalo. Dalo. Hello. Emailer. How you spell it? The email. Emailer.
Yeah. IMEELA. Then sorry. If you want to say sorry, we say ndo. NZO. Ndo. If you want to say no, we say mba. MBA. Want to say yes, we say A double E, or we say OM O double O, or we say Ise. That's actually the traditional way of saying it, of agreeing to things. We say Ise.
Okay. Could you go over those 4 again?
Which of them? Sorry, yes, no. Sorry is Ndo. Yes is A, O, or Ise, which is ISE. The A is double E, the O is double O, then Ise is ISE.
Okay. And Dilo, what's that again?
Emailer, IMEELA. That's for
And-
thank you.
Thank you.
Emailer.
A.
Dilo emailer. Emailer.
Then welcome. Welcome is no. N double N double O. Double N double O for welcome. That's no. Then if you want to say hello or hello, say ndewo.
Dale.
Yeah, that's no is double N, not double M. Double N double O. NNOO.
Mhm.
Did we get that?
Say that again.
Which of them?
The last one you said, so I can just write it down.
Is that with the,
Welcome. Double N
Is
double
that
O.
welcome?
or is that
Yeah.
hello?
Is it welcome? NNOO.
Yeah.
That's welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Deo is hello.
Hello is ndewo. Ndewo.
Ndewo. Is that NDAYO?
NDEWO. You were close.
W-O. Ndewo.
Ndewo, yeah.
ND.
Then how are you is kedu ka mere. How are you? Kedu ka mere. KEDU with a space, KA with a space, IMERE. KEDU with a space, KA with a space, IMERE. Did you get that?
Yeah, could you say it?
Kedu ka mere.
Keduka Imere.
Kedu ka mere, yeah. How are you? That's what it means. Then if we want to say goodbye, we say Ganu.
You're gone.
GAANU. Ganu.
Gano.
We could also say Ka Emesia. KAEMESIA.
Say that again. K-A.
KAEMESIA.
Okay.
We could also use Gaofuma. GAOFUMA. Then we'll go with see you later. If you want to tell someone see you later, I tell the person Kodi.
Kode.
Yeah, Kodi. Later, we will see. Kodi is KA space ODI. then
Okay,
Aigahu,
so
K-A space O-D-I, then Aigahu, A-N-Y-I space G-A space A-H-U.
Could you repeat that, please?
Cordy or Aigahu, which of them, or both?
repeat both
Cody.
of them.
Yeah.
Cordy, K-A space O-D-I.
Okay.
Then Aigahu is A-N-Y-I space G-A space A-H-U.
Let's see you later.
Yeah, that's see you later.
So, can I just, Ezinwa?
Yes.
So, if you could just go through the greetings that you've shared so that we can repeat after you. And then we can talk about, when we get to the greeting, then we can talk about the cola nut. Yeah?
All right. All right.
So we can start with, was it Indo?
Biko, please.
Yeah, Biko. So if when Ezinwa says it, if we could repeat after her, then we can get the pronunciation. So after you on the count of three, Ezinwa.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, go with please. Biko. It's been pronounced Biko.
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 Biko, yeah, Biko. And excuse me, it's Cheretsu.
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 And wait is Chere.
Cherry.
Chere.
Chere. Okay. Thank you is Dalo or Imela.
Dalo.
Dalo or Imela. There are so many ways of saying that.
Dalo. Imela.
Yeah. Then sorry is Ndo.
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 Yes is A or O.
Oh.
That's practically the way we answer. If we are asked to do something, we have no other option than to say, oh, we've heard you. Oh, I've heard you. Okay, so no is Mba.
Mba.
Or Olo.
Mba.
Yeah. Mba. And that Mba could mean something else. It could mean a tribe or a nation. Then welcome means no.
No.
No, yeah, no.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Then hello is Ndewo.
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 Ndeo.
Ndewo.
Yeah.
Ndewo.
Then how are you is Kedu ka imere.
Kedu ka imera. Imeri. So is it E at the end?
Sorry?
Is it E at the end?
Yeah. There's an E at the end. IMERA.
Okay. Imeri.
Imere. Okay. Goodbye is Gano.
Gano.
Yeah.
Gano.
Kemesia. Gofuma. Gano. Kemesia. Gofuma. They are all different ways of saying goodbye. Generally understood.
Ofuma.
Yeah. And see you later is Cordy.
Code.
Cordy. called. All right, that's it for the greeting.
That's it for the lesson today. We'll be back with more. Thank
Something
you.
for us to
Welcome.
practice with.
Definitely. Yes, so at least we'll have a list of all the basic greetings. So now just leading us on to the importance of the kola nut and Igbo culture. As we say, Yorubas, they grow the kola nut. Hausa, they eat the kola nut. For Igbos, we revere the kola nut. It is very special in our culture. And so, Ezinwa, if you can lead.
Okay. In the Igbo land, we have several items we use in receiving visitors, which the kola nut is one very big item we accept or we use in our culture. We also use bitter kola, palm wine, and garden egg. Generally, we all call them kola nuts, but we have a particular fruit called kola nuts. But we all call them kola nuts because we use them to receive visitors in Igbo culture. But that kola nut, the Igbo word is oji, O-J-I, oji. Now, speaking of the kola nuts, we cannot fail to acknowledge the fact that it is one very important fruit in West Africa, Nigeria precisely, which is the Igbo people, which the Igbo people respect a lot. Is a fruit which the Igbo people receive their visitors with. If you have been received with kola nuts, then you're highly welcome in an Igbo culture. If you go to someone's house and the person receives you with a kola nut, then you're highly welcome in that very household. As of then, but for now, like we said, our culture, people are really trashing it in the bin. Some people don't even have kola nuts in their houses anymore. But back then, if you visit someone and they bring out kola nuts and it's being shared and everyone takes a part in it, meaning there is a very warm reception of you in that very household.
Okay.
Now we have different types of kola nuts. Like I said, kola nut is oji. The particular one we're talking about is oji.
Oji.
But generally we call them kola nuts because we use them to receive visitors. Someone will come to your house and will be like, you're not gonna offer me kola nuts. And person might end up bringing out palm wine, bringing out bitter kola or garden egg. They are all kola nuts in their eye, but the particular fruit that is kola nut is oji in Igbo. And they have different types. The oji is spelled O-J-I. And they have different types. The ones that are partitioned into two, there is a hole. Then the ones that are partitioned into 2, 3, 4, up to 7.
Wow, 7. It's been
Right, right, the more it has in the Igbo culture, it is a good blessing if your kola nut has maybe more than 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll let you explain.
Yeah. The one that it's just a hole, which is I don't know how to explain. Okay, it's not partitioned into 2 or 3, it's just a hole. We call it Ojiobi. Don't know that obi word. It's something I didn't really get the meaning of it, but it's a kola nut that is never eaten. They don't eat the kola nut. It's just a single kola nut. It's not eaten at all. Then the one
So the single one's not eaten at all?
Yeah, it's not eaten.
Is there a particular reason?
That's something I didn't really look into.
I know why.
Okay.
Because the less quarters it has, the less value. So we wouldn't eat that one because in the Igbo culture, it is not seen as good luck if
Yeah.
you eat that type of kola nut. So as I said before, if the more quarter it has, the more blessing you give
Okay.
to your visitor, and good, it's a good day, it's a good luck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sis.
You're
All
welcome.
right. As she explained, we have the one that is partitioned into two. We call the two-lobed kola nut. Two-lobed kola nut, and it's called Oji or Oji Onye Nwolo. That's the kola nut for the wife, or the kola nut for the man of the house. It's partitioned into two. It's called the two-lobed kola nut. Oji Nwanyị means woman. Then Oji Onye Nwolo. Onye Nwolo means head of the house, which we know is the man. Then we have the three-lobed kola nuts, which is Oji Barato, the three-lobed kola nut, and we call it Oji Dike or Oji Ikenga. And it's three-lobed because it signifies the Trinity in man, the spirit, the soul, and the body, or it also signifies the father, the mother, and the children. That's the Trinity in man. That's what the three-lobed kola nut signifies.
Oh, I think she's saying it. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's Patsy. She had her hand up
Sorry.
for a question. Or do you
Yeah,
don't
I'm
want a
okay.
question now?
Can we take
Yeah,
the
sure.
questions after?
Okay. It was the clone art, so that's why I was just, you were talking about that. I just wanted to know what that meant, but I think you were actually explaining it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was lost there.
All right. So you got the point. Did you get the point?
It's clone or not? Is that to do with the tree you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry then. Yeah, carry on. Thank you.
I said, okay. I said the three-lobed kola nut has to do with the Trinity in man, the spirit, soul, and body, or the father, the mother, and the children.
So it's either spirit, soul, and body, or father, mother, and children.
Yeah.
The three means. Okay.
Yeah.
The Trinity, the three in one.
Then
Yes.
we have the four-lobed kola nut.
Mm-hmm.
That one signifies the 4 market days in the Igbo tradition, which is the Eke, Ori, Afo, and Onko market day. The 4 market days in Igbo tradition. That's what the four-lobed kola nut signifies.
Say that again. What does it signify?
The 4 market days in Igbo tradition. The Eke, Ori, Afo, and Onko market day.
Market day.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the other one? I'm just writing it down. Ike, Ore, Ofo, and
Onko.
Nkwo.
Yeah.
Nkwo. Okay. These are the 4 Igbo market days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that a market days in a week, or is that special holidays?
No, they're not. They're not special holidays.
Market day.
They're market days.
Because
like Chief, we may have Monday. It's a particular set of people go to that market, or the particular set. Okay, let's say in my village, it's my own people. That if my village is divided into 2 or 3 communities, on the AK, my own community is to go to market that day. Like we are to sell. Then other people from other communities will come and buy from us. Then the Orie, people from another community are to sell, while we are to go and buy from them, something like that.
Yeah, because when I had they had the physical African culture market, Chief Amlok always used to use the 4 kola nuts when he used to do libation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that actually represents our market. Then we have the five-lobed kola nuts.
Mm-hmm.
The 5-lobed kola nut is called Oji Ihoma. That's a kola nut that signifies good things. The 5-lobed kola nut. It represents good things.
I'm not sure if I spelled Ihoma correct.
Iheoma.
Oh, okay.
Then we have the 6-lobed kola nut. 6-lobed kola nut is called Oji Omomo. That represents reproduction. Oji Omomo. Omumu. It signifies the blessings of children in a family. Do I go on?
Yes. Are you okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I still have that slight headache, but I'll be fine.
Okay. Sorry, you're doing very well.
Thank you. Where are we? The 7th.
7 now.
We're on 7.
7-lobed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the 7-lobed kola nut. Ojibara Asa. Okay, from what I understood, this kola nut is very rare.
Oh, for the 7 is very rare. Okay.
Yeah, it's very rare. It's hard for you to see the 7-lobed kola nut, and it comes out on rare occasions and difficult situations because it has something big coming with it when you say it, and it's usually seen at the shrines where the priests and all those people use it to perform 1 or 2 things. And before you say it, maybe you must have committed a terrible thing, or maybe you're expecting a huge blessing from the ancestor, from the gods. That's where you see them using or bringing out the 7-lobed kola nut. And it's cherished as well because it brings good omen. It brings good omen.
Okay.
So we got the info. Is there anything we didn't get from the first one to the 7th one before we go into the importance of kola nut?
I watched it. I watched
Yeah,
it.
yes. Question: the king cola. What's the king cola, or the one they call the king cola? Is that the 7th?
Yeah, it's the 7th, the king kola.
Okay, thanks.
So if you go to the shop and they say you pick a kola nut and it has the 7 segments on it, does that mean that you're gonna get good luck? Or something good or something different will happen?
They actually said it brings good omen. So if you go with that belief that you're gonna get something out of it or something nice is gonna come your way, I'm sure it will. You know, everything we believe in actually works for us. So that's just it.
Okay, because I know with the kola nut that has got the 4 segments in it, it has like 2 male and 2 female inside when you break. So with all of the others, is it always equal? Because I mean, I know with the 7 and with the 5, is it a significance to what you get when you open it, if it's 3 male or 2 female or vice versa?
That's what I don't know, but I think we should just go, anything we see, we should just go with it and just have a belief that maybe this is what you actually want, and allow the gods to do their work. We don't know what's we can't really see with our eyes what is given to us, but we just have to believe something good will come out of it.
Okay. Has anybody else got any questions? So what is the kola nut that's just whole one? It's got no segments. What is it used for? You can't eat it. It's not good to eat. So what is it used for?
Like my sister said, I think she said that one too just signifies something good is coming, and there is no need slashing or dividing the kola nut. It's just something that I should just keep or maybe keep looking at it and be waiting for when the thing is gonna come your way.
I'll find out I'll ask an elder. Maybe
Okay.
they will be able to tell us as well what it signifies.
Okay. And if you're using a kola nut, does it always have to be fresh? Can you use, because I know they go hard afterwards. Sorry?
If you're using a kola nut, it doesn't always have to be fresh. Yes, if I can, as far as I can remember, there are some kola nuts that can stay decades in the house, but it's just that it's not something that spoils that easy.
But I know they go very hard. They're like almost like stone.
Yeah. It's something that it's stored for a very long time. It does not really always have to be fresh. I even feel that those ones that are even older, the ones that they value the more, because they'll be like, yes, you have them in your house, meaning you know what you're supposed to do, you know what is right, and not running off to the shop at every moment to go and get.
Okay.
Doesn't always have
So
to be fresh.
just because they've gone hard doesn't mean you can throw them away. You still keep them.
No, can still eat them.
How would you eat them? Would you grate it? Would you boil it? How would you, when it's gone really hard?
There is no how a kola nut is gonna get hard that you can't bite it with your teeth. There's no how it's gonna get hard that you can't bite it with your teeth.
I can't bite it. I couldn't bite it with my teeth when it's hard. My teeth would break.
Yeah, because they can get really hard.
Yeah. Which of the kola nuts are you talking about?
The one with the four segments. Usually the red ones.
Yeah, the red ones.
Yeah.
And they're not, I don't think they're so hard to test that they can't bite.
They can be very hard, you know.
It's very hard.
They're buying old kola nuts.
No, because you're buying them fresh because they're soft, so you can actually bite into them. But I mean, if they stay, I don't know if it's it's the air. If you leave them to the side, they can get very hard.
That's right.
Okay.
What's the difference between these ones which are sort of red and the bitter kola nut? What's the difference?
Which is this? Let me see the other one.
No, I didn't get the bitter one. I've just got the red ones. These ones.
That's the medicine. That's the medicine one they call the bitter kola, the one that they use as just medicine, straight up medicine.
Okay.
For if they have a strong alcohol or something.
Okay. So would you grate that one? Would you grate it?
Well, grating
you could grate.
Nut is based on choice.
Okay.
Because I think they will actually perform the same function if they want to.
Okay.
Okay, is this like a special tree? Sorry, because I'm just getting lost here a little bit. It's a tree that grows, that some peanuts or something like that grows from it, this name. It grows from a tree.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, they call it
busy.
Busy. In Jamaica, it's called busy.
Busy. Is it some special tree?
No, busy. Do you know busy? In Jamaica, they call it busy.
Yeah, man, we know busy. Yeah.
Right. So that's kola nut.
Okay.
In Jamaica, they call it busy. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Right.
Dr. Lyndon's got his hand up. I don't know if he's still taking questions.
One thing. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
I'm busy listening. I want the whole of that language sent to me. Okay. That's number one. Thank you very much. But the kola nut, you've given me many different ways to look at kola nut now, whereas the busy, as Queen Jean just said, in Jamaica we call it busy. It's mainly grown in the parishes, which is in the country, rather than in town where I live. So I only saw one version of it. We used it as an antidote for when somebody is poisoned.
Yeah, for poison. If you're poisoned, you take the
Yeah.
So our ancestors used to get snake bites, and that's what they used to drive the poison out as an antidote.
Yeah.
I have a brother in New York. He drinks busy tea like at least once a day. And he's never been ill. So I don't know if I can attribute it to the busy, but he believes in it. Obviously, he's older than me, so he knows a lot more about it. That's the one point. The second point I wanted to make is, many years ago, I bought something called cola wine. Cola spelled K-O-L-A. And I was told that it was from the cola nut. Do you attribute that name to the busy?
Sorry, is that a question for?
The cola nut. The cola nut wine, it was attributed to being made with busy, as we called it. Are you aware of that?
Well, I've never had.
I've not heard of that before.
I've not had. We know palm wine, but we've not cola nut wine.
Cola wines were spelled K-O-L-A, and I was assured it was made from busy. I'm not sure whether it's the 7 whatever or it's a singular one. I can't tell you, but I just wanted to know whether you knew.
No,
Not
sorry,
aware.
I don't know the answer to that.
All right, thank you very much for your answers anyway. Thank you.
Give
Okay.
thanks. Right, so should we just go on to as we were talking about the medicinal purpose of cola nut, round it off, because our time, I'm aware that we've gone over our time coming up shortly.
Okay. We'll just go back to the importance. I'll just rattle it off, then the respect given to it. As like we all said, it's highly medicinal. Then it's used to receive visitors. It's used during marriage ceremonies. It's used during funerals. Then it's used by our elders to bless us or bless our lands during their libation pouring. Then the respects given to kola nut. A woman must not climb a kola nut tree. That's very, very essential. A woman doesn't climb a kola for no reason. Should a woman climb a kola nut tree? Then a woman does not divide a kola nut in the presence of a man.
She mustn't do what in the presence of a man with a kola nut?
A woman does not divide a kola nut or share a kola nut among anyone in the presence of a man. If a man is there, the man should do it. No matter how many women are there with one single man, even if the man is the youngest amongst them, the man should do it.
Share the kola nut.
Yeah. Then a kola nut is not shared or divided inside the house before it's brought out to the visitors. It's just like saying you're bringing a drink to a visitor, then you open the drink inside the house before coming to present it to the visitor. It's not right that way. So it's same as the kola nuts. You don't partition or divide the kola nuts inside the house before you bring it out to your visitor.
So you divide that in front of the visitor?
Yeah, you divide in front of them, or you give them to divide by themselves. If they are older than you are, you present it to them, then they do the dividing, then give to you.
Okay, and you mentioned about ceremonies. Do you have a particular kola nut for the ceremonies? Do they have certain amount of segments that they have to have for ceremonies?
Mostly the one that it's partitioned into 4 that represents the market days. Then the 7th one that brings good omen. Then the 6th one that talks about, is it the 6th or the 5th one talks about reproduction as children, blessings.
I think that one is when the Eze makes the incantations
to bless them.
Yeah, he will say, Igbo people, you have done well. Igbo people, well done. We have seen the kola nuts. And he who brings kola nuts brings life. That is what happens before they will then ask the younger one to break the kola nuts and share.
Understood.
Yeah.
Galactic
Can you
Live,
also can you also talk about the spirit inside the nut?
What?
Cola nut?
No, I don't know the spirits inside the nut. No. I don't think I
Well,
know.
I've been told when you break the cola nut, there's a spirit that is released. They said the spirit of the ancestors reside within the cola nut. That's what I've been told. Yes.
I'm sure whoever told you also can back that up. But it's what they believe, so I'm sure it's what it is. I mean, the women should know more about kola nuts and the spirits that are guiding the kola nuts. I've not even eaten one before, funny enough. Now, no one is also allowed to use a kola nut wood for firewood. It's not allowed. No matter how hungry you are, and the kola tree or the kola nut wood is the only option left for you to make fire, you're not allowed to make use of it.
So is that bad luck, or is that
Yeah, I think so. It's respect. Like I said, it's respect given to kola nuts. You don't use the youth for firewood because the fruit represents a lot of things.
Okay.
So that's it for the kola nuts.
Okay. And so I know you can use it for ceremonies, and you can, as I said, you can eat it if you feel that you've been poisoned. Can cure that. What other uses are for the kola nut? Can you cook them, or you just have them raw? Boil them, make tea?
We don't cook kola nuts. No, we don't cook them.
What about making tea? Do you put hot water on top of it? You just eat it as it is?
You just eat it. You just eat it like that. You don't, there's nothing attached to the kola nut while putting it in your stomach. It's something you just eat straight that way. It serves its own purpose that way. You don't need to attach it to anything before you eat it. It's just a medicine of its own.
Okay. Thank you. Has anybody got any questions?
I'll tell you what I found when we were sort of trying to learn the words. It was really quite interesting how it sort of resonate, the depth of it, because you're speaking from like really deep down within, you know, to say the words. Mba.
Okay.
So the emphasis, you know, it comes from really deep within, if you know what I mean. That's how I experienced it anyway.
Okay.
Can I say?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
have elder that I normally visit, the Igbo, and actually they normally break the kola, just like what you mentioned about doing the kola when I visit. And one thing he said, one of the things that keep our African people together was the kola nut, because the kola nut is used as a contractual agreement in every part of the society. So once they swore or once they make any agreement with the kola nut present, it has to be honored.
Yeah.
It would be good to get some more information about it, wouldn't it? Mimi's got her hand up anyway.
Mimi, do you like to answer your question?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. I was actually late and I've only been here maybe about 6-7 minutes. What I heard you talking about kola nuts, but I'd like to ask about garden eggs. Could you please shed some light on that? I know it's used quite a lot in Nigerian culture. I imagine that's where you're from. So if you could just tell me a bit, please, I would be grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, we all call them kola nuts because we use them to like receive our visitors. The garden eggs too are used on several occasions. In a situation whereby the kola nuts cannot go, like if we're having a wedding ceremony and there's a kola nuts and there are garden eggs, that particular kola nut might be meant for those at the high table, as few people at the high table, where the kola nuts can be partitioned into and given to them. But they will make sure that that garden egg goes around. If there are thousands of people there, each person must actually pick one garden egg. Is a means of welcoming the person to the occasion. Then it also has this medicinal values as well.
Please.
And we use it for Igbo salad.
Yeah. The abacha.
Abacha.
Salad, yeah.
You mentioned medicinal purposes. Could you just expand on that, please, a bit? What would I use a garden egg to cure or heal or whatever?
Sorry, I can't really expand on the medicinal aspect of the garden egg because that is not actually my line. Because all I just know is that just like the kola nut has medicinal values, I believe to the garden egg, not like I believe to, it was said or it's written that it has medicinal values, but what it actually does to the body is what I can't throw light on because that's not my field.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just look it up.
So in ceremonies, is it only the man that can break the kola nut?
Yes.
Only the man who breaks the kola nut.
It's just the men. Except it's a ladies' gathering. If it's a ladies' gathering, then the person with the highest maybe the most elder amongst all of them there is going to be the person to break the kola nut. But it's even rare because on such occasions, women, they hardly do that. That's the respect they actually have for the kola nuts. They hardly break kola nuts in their gatherings. They prefer the garden egg than other food items.
Okay. I don't know about the garden egg. Could you give us a description of the garden egg?
It's I don't know how to explain this. It's like an egg.
Okay.
It's like a small aubergine, but
Yeah.
rather than being purple, it's egg color, creamy color, and shaped.
Some are
like an egg.
green in color too.
Yeah, or green, yes.
Okay.
It's a vegetable anyway.
Okay.
And you can eat it raw as well. You eat it raw.
You eat it raw. Okay.
With peanut butter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With peanut butter, or granules, or pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, can
Galactic,
I ask a question?
do your stuff.
Can I ask about abacha?
Yeah.
Yeah, abacha is
What do you take?
Cassava.
What do you take to make it? Do you put any greens in it?
Is it the raw one or the finished?
I'm asking you the question because we've got something we call bacha. We don't say abacha, we say bacha. But it's made out of what do you call it? Okra leaves. You cook okra leaves like a callaloo, like a spinach.
Ah, okay.
And we call that bacha.
Okay. Ours is made from cassava, shredded cassava. Cassava shredded into bits, the raw cassava. Then we cook. Then it gets soft. Then in preparation, we could actually add whatever leaf we want to add, like the garden egg leaf, to eat it. I don't know why we call it abacha, but that's the name I grew up to hear it being called abacha. It's from cassava, raw cassava that we use in making gari or fufu.
Well, can I just tell you something? The cassava you take to make the gari is called manioc, and it's poisonous, as you've probably heard. So it can't be that they eat it raw because the milk kills animals.
It's not eaten raw. Like I thought, it's not eaten raw. It's being cooked. It's shredded and cooked. We don't eat raw.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to see if I can make a connection between the words we use and the culture to what you're talking about, because we use the word bacha. So when we cook the okra leaf up with some okras and maybe you put crab in it or whatever it is you got, whatever meat you got, and that
Okay.
is like a side dish. So
Uh,
with your rice or your kuku, what you call it, fufu, you all call it, that type of thing. So I just wanted to know if the culture came from Africa or the word. But you
okay.
don't, yeah, you don't know that much about it, but
No.
maybe I'll just have to guess anyway.
Yeah,
Thank you anyway.
yeah.
So,
Also, there is the bitter cassava or the poisonous cassava, and there's the sweet cassava, which we call the yucca. So there's a difference, because in the Caribbean, we have one that, yes, we have to wring out all the milk out of it because it would be
Poisonous.
considered poisonous. So
yeah.
that's what the one you're talking about, which they make I think that's the same one they make the bami from. Is that the same one they
Yeah.
make the bami from in
Yes.
Jamaica?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Yeah,
have
and
the
it's
poisonous
called
and then
manioc.
Malia.
manioc. Okay.
Yeah, manioc, that
Yeah.
poisonous one.
Yeah. Sorry.
Make the Gary and the starch for your clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Manioc is it the English name? Sorry, I just had two very tired garden eggs.
Oh, wonderful.
I thought I might share them with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say what you said, Clyde. You know, there's two sorts of cassava. One is a sweet cassava, and then there's the other one, which is quite bitter, which is, as you say, is manuk, and that's the one we make the bami from.
Mm. Okay.
Can I go back to
If
the
I'm not
caller?
remember- Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Emma?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that manioc reminds me of the French name for cassava.
Ah,
I think it's the French name for cassava. I'm not sure, but manioc is, yeah.
well, Clyde, you wanted to say something, but I want to come back on this point about how it's a masculine thing, isn't it? That men are the ones who are encouraged to break it, and women are not encouraged to do so, except if it's in an all-female group. What is the reason for that?
Like I said, it respects the accord to the kola nut. It's been there before I came into existence.
Oh,
It's
okay.
an ancestral something. So
Okay.
So as you said, if there was even if it's a young man there, it's the man who needs to break the kola nut.
yes.
Yeah. If there's a gathering, because I remember my mother would be the one that would bring the kola nut, but she would not be the one to break the kola nut. So that kola nut would be broken either by the elder, or they might ask the younger boy or men to break the kola nut and share it. But it has to be it has to be blessed first and received first by the elder men in company. So it is a respect. It's used as to signify and to show respect.
It's just often, Anyanna, people would use that word respect in relation to certain things, or certain things that are permitted or not permitted in respect of women, you know, and I'm just thinking, well, where did that come from?
I think it depends. When we use the word respect, we can go to it. I mean, we're entering, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of my introduction, that the inroad or the erosion of our cultures by the colonizer and colonization, we start to challenge and ask these questions. So perhaps one day women in Igbo culture might decide that they are now going to go against the grain because maybe they didn't feel the kola nut now respects them. So they will stop breaking the kola nut. No. So it's what that word respect is not because women are not respected. as I don't know why it is left to the men to break the kola nut, but I can guess.
What's wrong with the men breaking the kola nut?
Well, no, that's my point. I can guess why the men have for centuries broken the kola nut, and I don't kind of want to bring a westernized ideology into now women need to start breaking the kola nut and or reclaiming the kola nut.
There's nothing wrong with men, men breaking it. What I'm saying is, why are women not allowed? What is the purpose of that? That's what I would like to know.
Well, as Ezinwa took us through the different types of kola nuts, and I think what she said, for example, with the lobes, the different lobes, the 3 lobes, the unity, that was quite important, where you have the head of the house, the man, the woman, and child represented in the kola nut. So for me, it's not a question as why can't women or why don't women? I would just accept it as it is the way it is. And I'm not sure that's a question I would have to go and ask an elder. Perhaps they'll be able to give me that answer. I know where you're coming from, but I'm not sure. But I ultimately, I think it's just about having the head. There is always, there's a foundation and there's a head, and it is as it is.
Even in the gathering of men, is the highest authority that breaks the kola nut, except he doesn't want to, then he gives it to someone else to do it on his behalf. So it's just a sign of respect, I guess.
Also, I don't know if this could help, but I'm aware that a lot of our continental brothers who drive the taxi, they use the kola nut, especially if they're doing long hours of work, because the kola nut is known to be rich in caffeine, and so it keeps them awake. So if they're running a taxi shift for like an all-night shift, they would use the kola nut to keep awake. So sorry, I don't know if it's because of the caffeine. It's more of the men. I don't know. Maybe that's something. I don't know.
Sorry, how long has this tradition been going for?
Since Igbos were created.
So I don't think taxi cabs were around at that point.
Yeah, it's not about the kola nut keeping them awake. It's more traditionally than that. I'm sure that one was just recently discovered.
Are you aware that it was used? Are you aware it was used in slavery? The kola nut was used in slavery to overwork the slaves as well.
No,
it was used in slavery. I'm aware of that. It was used in slavery as a means to help them to work like a bull, in terms of hard work, because it gives you energy. It gives a lot of energy. Sorry,
they had to work hard.
I think it was both male and female, as it wasn't just male. Because remember, it was using Coca-Cola. Can you talk about that, Anyanna? The Coca-Cola and the kola nut.
One thing I do know is, yes, Coca-Cola was made initially as a health drink, and it's made using the caffeine, using the extract from kola nuts. So it's actually put in a lot of our products without us actually realizing, and is extremely potent in terms of caffeine, as maybe more than coffee. So definitely it has a guarana type of what is it? It keeps you awake, effect. But yes, you're right. It's a bit like the way GAT, although that has a slightly different effect. But the East Africans, Somalians in particular, they chew GAT
No, cat. You mean cat? You mean cat? Cat is.
Yeah. They chew the leaf to get that kind of caffeine. Yeah, release. And but I've never known people to consume cola nut just for the release or just to stay awake. I've only ever, my contact with cola nut has been in the welcoming of people to your home. It's been used for that purpose, and at gatherings, at weddings, funerals, Christian, important occasions, but also on an everyday purpose. When people come to your house, you bring the cola nut. So that's my relationship with cola nut. Yeah.
I'm aware that back in America, and what she do, she would buy the honey with the, the honey with the bee populace in there, and she would take out some of the most of it, like a quarter of the honey, and grate the together. She said that's very, very good for the body. So she grated the cola nut inside the honey mixed with which is the yellow honey with the bee populace in it. But my question is, are you familiar with the name Obi referring to the cola nut?
Ezinwa, can you please?
Yeah.
Obi.
Is that OBI? Obi.
The single color.
Yes, I think so.
OGBI.
Oh, OG.
Okay, we know it as Obi. So it's OG the name then? Okay. Because I normally say that even the word obia comes from the connection with the cola nut, and that's what's been passed down.
Well, Obi is an Igbo name.
Obia, the word obia comes from the obi. They call it the obi seed. They call the cola nut the obi seed, but you say OG, which is all very close.
Yeah, it could have been lost in translation. From OG became OB quite easily. It could easily happen.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Right. So, Ezinwa, do you want to just close? And I think perhaps we could have some more sessions on exploring language and culture, and just if people are interested, we can find out more aspects of Igbo life, and maybe also other cultures as well. We could, I know Sister Kashanua is delving into the Ashanti connections, but yes, so yeah, I think for me, I enjoyed it. My Igbo is terrible, but I can hear it more. Well, I can't really speak, but I can hear small bits. So it was nice to hear my junior sister bringing me back home with the basic greetings there. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
It's good. The poor thing looks like she's suffering.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was just going to ask if she's all right. She's sure she needs to go and lie down, poor thing.
Ezinwa, are you okay?
Maybe you need to take a bit of cola nut, honey, ginger, lemon, garlic.
I need it though. I need to take it. I'm having serious.
Have you picked up something? Have you, Ezinwa, you look like you've picked up a flu.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe cola nut or a bisty hot drink tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm aware of the time and you have other speakers. I had planned on discussing what was going on through on the streets in Nigeria, and we'll.
You have got a little bit of time for that.
Right, okay. So Ezinwa, you're gonna have to just give a small intro what young people are suffering. Can I ask Sister Cheryl if she could put the PowerPoint on for me, please? Oh, it's the wrong one. Okay, never mind. I've sent the wrong PowerPoint, but never mind. It's a version of this.
Was it possible to send?
Should I stop sharing
the
that
other one?
Can I just see the second page and I'll see if it's, sorry.
And so if it's possible to send the other one if it's not correct.
Yes,
if it's
I
not
just
quite
wanted to check if I go onto the second slide, I'll know whether or not.
Okay.
Same one.
Well, wait, just to let you know that we are live on the Black Culture Radio, which is on the Auntie Jean Zone. All the W's, blackcultureradio.com.
Anyanna?
Yes, dear.
Did you sorry, I've got a lot of noise in the background. Did you see the one? Did you see what the screen that I just shared?
No, I can't see anything.
Right, I'm gonna put it back on then, yeah?
Yeah, just put it back on.
Okay. Is it that one?
That's fine, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, this is the one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right, so, sorry, could you just go, I know this is awful. Go to the beginning, sorry. Okay, right. So ignore the title. Right, so currently, Nigeria is being framed or has been framed as a place for terrorism. And also, it's also been a place where, for me, that imperialistic feminist ideas have influenced the way in which the narratives that are being discussed in Nigeria. And it is a diversion of what is actually has been going on for some time under Buhari, who is really a leader who is supported by the British government. He has actually recently been hiding in London, apparently seeking medical assistance. His ministers have embezzled millions of pounds, millions of nairas are in the Bank of England as we speak. So what you constantly will hear, rather than focusing on the lack of democracy, on the corruption, on the embezzlement, and all the other ills that the British government actually has perpetuated, what you get is as I say, a terrorist narrative. And a good example of that was Bring Back Our Girls campaign. As you recall, that happened several years ago. And it was used sensationally to perpetuate this war on terror. Because what we didn't know, or what wasn't shared, was that about a couple of nights before the 300 girls plus were abducted, 800 boys had been abducted just, not far away from that same vicinity. It didn't get any media attention whatsoever. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay. So at the moment, there is lots of, Ezinwa will explain what's happening in Imo State, because we all know I am a product of the Biafran War. And the Biafran War was a genocide that was supported by America and the UK to suppress the independence of the Igbo people. And why was that? Because the oil is in the southeastern part of Nigeria. As simple as that. Currently, we have Buhari, who is a dictator, a man whose only plan is to exploit and oppress his people. So the Buhari must go. It's hashtag Buhari must go. And it's been led by Omowale Suare. If you go on his Twitter page, you'll see his many campaigns. What's sad, however, is not enough Nigerians are bothered, it seems to me, or even concerned about what is going on back home. Whilst they are content here, they don't seem to be paying any mind to the conditions that people now find themselves. So this campaign, if we can get involved or show your solidarity, it's important that we pressure change for Nigeria via the UK government, because Nigeria has never, like all African countries, had independence. It is only independent on paper, but everything is owned, controlled politically by the UK. So, sorry, if you move on to the next slide. So this was a bit of Pidgin English that was posted a couple of hours ago, this morning. Good morning, Nadia. As you did go work today, remember Yaya Bello, who is, Ezinwa, Yaya Bello is one of the, just correct me who he is. He's a young man who...
Running for president.
Right, yes. But he's also but he's running for president, and he's now been, what's happened to him? Hello?
I can hear you.
Sorry, that was a question. What's happened to Yaya Bello?
Recently?
Yeah.
No idea.
Okay. Right. So according to this anyway, and many of his followers or anybody who is actually a voice of resistance to Buhari is finding themselves tortured, detained, whipped, murdered, all kinds is going on. Last week, there was a spate of bombings, murders, killings, shootings and kidnappings that went unchecked. And the rumor is now that if it escalates, there will be a civil war. It's got that bad. The next slide, please. So sorry, this is quite small, the text. So who's the SARS oppressor? So even the African National Congress have been criticizing the state of play in Nigeria at the moment. And we have these puppets, and his name is Hakeem Odumosu, who's responsible for the policing and the SARS and the suppression of any criticism that is made about the government. That's the person who we should also be targeting our complaints. And he can be charged with atrocities, violations of human rights, because the crimes that are being committed mostly against young people, because they are the ones who actually have the thirst for change and still have a bit of fire. And this man, Buhari, and his despots are ruling with an iron fist. And people are frightened, people are very scared. The next slide, please. Okay, so when we see kidnappings, we will somehow assume that it is yet again Boko Haram. But I believe Boko Haram has been used as an excuse. I'm not suggesting that they don't exist, but Ezinwa will correct me on this one if I'm wrong. But the levels of kidnapping has been going on for decades. It has become a way of living when you have no employment, when, you know, people who are educated, graduates, there is no work. And so people are turning to kidnapping as a way of, as a job. If they're not kidnapping, they're scamming online. It's a 419 situation and a dog eat dog, but their backs are against the wall. They have no choice. So I think whilst the missing schoolgirls served a political purpose at the time, it's quickly lost its impetus in the public eye. If we go on to the next slide, please. So, so for me, there has been an anti-Islamist agenda since the 9/11, and obviously that's been dominated with terrorism in our news. And the insurgency of Boko Haram has existed way before 2002, but is firmly embedded in the violence, crime, corruption, politics that dominates what we hear about our failed state, and the way in which there doesn't seem to be a way out unless we have an opportunity to rid Nigerians of Buhari, who was actually put there by the West. Yeah, that's why we have Buhari. And what's going on in Nigeria is no accident. If we move on to the next slide, please. And where is our celebrities? Where is the Obamas, as they were so vivid during the Bring Back Our Girls. And it seems to be that, you know, they've lost that flavor of jumping on that feminist type bandwagon. Has obviously run out of steam. So there's little impetus for celebrities or to make their voice or attach their voices to what is actually what's going on in Nigeria right now. We're not hearing anybody speaking. And the only time people began to speak or said anything was when it was, again, another political football with the SARS. And once that's gone, it's been brushed under the carpet and people have moved on. Next slide, please. Just coming to the end shortly. Okay, so, you know, it's an agenda bias. And this is what I would call like news framing. And this is a very typical example of that. Where, you know, you commodify a problem for media attention, but not actually to enable or empower or help or support democracy to prevail. So we realize again that the reporting that's been going on, or that that is being emphasized, is a biased reporting, which for me is just reinforcing a particular white feminist discourse without actually engaging or educating or reporting to the public the actual concerns of the average Nigerian, which is not to be oppressed in his own land, to have freedom of speech, and to be able to have a decent economy with infrastructure, whilst all our wealth is embezzled and taken to the UK. And it often hurts me when I hear these comments about, oh, why can't Africans sort out Africa? You know, or why do Africans want to come to the UK? Well, all our wealth is here. And that's why we can, you know, Africa can be described as a shithole by some of our so-called Western leaders, because the exploitation, whilst we talk about our ancestors, we are still perpetuating the enslavement. And so we don't have freedom. We do not have democracy. Africa is not free. And I think we really do need to stop putting some pressure, asking the right questions, so that we can actually influence the political tapestry that our people throughout all the nations in the continent are suppressed with. We have invisible enslavement, well, not really invisible, but our economics, our wealth is still exploited, and more so to drive our digital economy more than ever before. So Africa, they have a tight grip on Africa, and that is why you see the prevalence of corrupt leaderships. They are put there. They are not chosen by the people. They are put there by the UK, America, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, the next one, sorry. Right, what I put there before was just saying that still there's only 0.4% Black journalists in our newspapers. So when you have reporting that is dominated by white voices, then they frame these pictures in our heads. I just put Walter Lippmann, who was a famous, he coined PR, that all too often the visual information is so powerful that it overwhelms the verbal. So they know what images to choose, to select, to frame, to influence, and to perpetuate a particular story. Next slide, please. Sorry. Okay. Actually, this is the wrong PowerPoint. So I'm kind of realizing that because there's two different versions. But anyway, there's a lovely map of Nigeria. One of its famous, we actually have all the newspaper titles that we have here. So we've got The Guardian, The Sun, The Daily Mirror, The Times. We have the same parliamentary systems in Nigeria. It is still very much a colony of the UK. But Vanguard is one of the main newspapers. And of course, there is, of course, editorial bias, because if you go to the next slide, please, Cheryl, because anybody who talks or writes the truth risks losing their life. Yeah, basically, faced with many threats and pressures from media owners, politicians and advertisers are less than willing to actually report on what is actually going on. And if you go to the next slide, and then if Ezinwa is still with us, she can just give you a very brief outline of young people's lives. So in terms of the kidnapping, 1 a penny, and these, I think, was it 1.1 billion naira. I don't know how much that equates to in UK money, but it's, clearly in its millions as well. And this is really the way in which the economy, this is what's happened to Nigerians. It is a very dark times for the country. People are willing, there's very little love in terms of seeing a way out to be able to find an opportunity to uprise. It is that bad. And the SARS is extremely oppressive, and the methods in which they are oppressing people is extremely wicked and cruel. And I've seen the most shocking, horrific videos of torture in public space. Yeah, it's dangerous times for anybody who wants change. Next slide, please. Is there another slide? Sister Shaz. Sorry, am I on mute?
No, you're not.
Okay. I'll just ask him for the next slide. I think right, okay. Ezinwa, do you mind while we're waiting for the other slide, and I'm practically at the end? Do you mind just informing the audience what young people are going through right now, so they get a sense of a current sense of what's the dilemmas?
Yeah. The young people, they are actually suffering a lot, like unlike how it used to be. Right now, I don't think any young one or any even from the childhood age, none of them is safe anymore, because at this point we don't even know where the country at large is headed. People that are going to school, they are just going to school just for the sake of going to school. They don't know their fate after the school, because there is actually no job. Even the school they even attend itself, it's not on the level it used to be before. The education this time around, it's so poor. So poor. The government decides to use the money for their own selfish interest, and forget that there are particular reasons why a government needs money, and education is one of the reasons.
You have teachers who haven't been paid for about imagine being a teacher and you're asked to go and teach students, but you're not being paid for 9 months.
How are you going to teach someone if you're not being paid? That's something that is very funny. How will you bring out your heart to actually teach someone if you're not being paid, if you're not reaping the fruit of your labor? People that even do that are people that their passion is lost in the teaching. Like, if not, some teachers will just decide to sit down in their house. Some of them, they try to come to school or go to school so that in case someone comes in and needs their attention, they won't be caught not being around. That's why they actually go to school. But if it's for the sake of the students or the pupils who they should be in school because of, I think they've lost that interest, because they don't have any motivation anymore to go to school and teach. Why the kids themselves are lacking the interest as well, because they are not seeing anything coming out from it. Some feel they just go there, waste their time, and go home.
So that's why there's a rise in kidnapping. There's a rise in online crime.
Yeah,
you know,
for the fact that there are no jobs, I don't think they are seeing reasons again to go to school. They prefer to get to the easier way. Because some of them that even actually went to school see that those that did not go are making it more than them, that are stressing themselves to go to school, and nothing is coming out of it. So they just lose the interest and decide to go the wrong path, which is very bad.
So just to give a short, just like what's going on in Imo State at the moment with the release of, was it 300 prisoners, or maybe more actually? No, 750 prisoners.
There are more. Okay, going over what actually happened, that was last month. Yeah, last month, on the 5th of April, gunmen attacked a prison in Owerri, in Owerri is the capital of Imo State, Nigeria, freeing 1,844 inmates in the prison, and that was a very big day. That was a very big day. With more than 1 million residents, where it has more than 1 million residents, and 1,844 inmates were freed. No one is actually safe. No one is safe. Then on the 6th of April, bandits stormed the police station in one of the villages in Imo State, freeing detainees as well. No group has claimed responsibility, but the police say the likely perpetrators are the Eastern Security Network. That's the armed wing of the indigenous people of Biafra. ESN, that's Eastern Security Network. They are trying to, the police people are trying to blame it on the Biafra people, which we know that it's false in a way. Then our president that is in London pledged to flush out the miscreants. He only does that with his mouth. I don't think he ever puts it into action. We actually have a governor, which I don't think is in existence in Imo State. Maybe because the way he was put into power, that's why things are really turning out very bad in Imo State. I don't know if I'm to put it that way, but I think that's just what it is. And Imo is mostly Igbo and Christian in population. Imo State is where we have most population of Christians and the Igbo people. It was the heartland of support for an independent Biafra during the 1967 to 1970 civil war. And since then, successive federal governments have taken a hard line on practice. And since 2015, when Buhari, another Muslim, was elected president, sentiment has been growing ever since Buhari was elected. And the movement of Muslims, ethnically Fulani herdsmen into region looking for pastures, has excavated the situation. That's because Buhari came into power, so it gave them more leverage to have access in the east. And Muslims internally displaced, some advocates for renewed Biafran separatism claimed an Islamic plot by the Buhari government to place all Nigeria under Christians. The jailbreak, which actually happened in Imo State, will likely increase violence and insecurity in Imo State, which is actually going on now because they had to bring up so many other security personnel parading the streets, trying to hold on to any person they see on the streets, in the sense that everybody has become a suspect because of the people that fled from the prisons and people that fled from the police station. So every man on the street now is practically a suspect. And it should be noted that weeks have gone by since this incident, and it has clearly affected the way people go about their daily activities in and around the state, such that major routes within the states have had access. Major routes within the states which had free access to have been denied such access, meaning at some strategic points, if there used to be one police checkpoint, there is usually more than 5 or 6 before you get to your destination, which just kills unnecessary time. If you really have somewhere important, you have to be at that point. And it takes more than 3 times the expected layoff time for bus trips to get to their destinations within just city of Owerri. That will not take you up to 5 minutes to get to where you're going to at a particular time. And in recent time, the government of Imo State have since hired unrecognized security outfits whom now work on amongst every of them that are there. Like I said, security personnel that even uniforms you've not seen in your life before, you now see them on the road. They are all claiming to be security personnel. And in one way or the other, someone that shouldn't be amongst you might impersonate and finally get you to be in trouble. You may be thinking he's a security personnel, but you wouldn't know that he's one of the bad people because the uniforms are not known to you. What they are doing actually too isn't known to you. So one can't really say who anyone is right now, and everyone can be anyone at this particular time. The breakout has really dealt with people of Imo State. People don't go about freely anymore. People are scared of leaving their homes. From the kidnapping is really on the high side now. Yeah, on the high side now. People that are in school, they're even scared of continuing. And I heard that they want to they want to go back on strike until everything is resolved. And this is actually a delay too in the academics. People are supposed to be rounding up with the academics are still being delayed at some particular point because of one thing or the other that is going on in the state. And the funny thing is that all the while I was in Nigeria and our government was put in power, put in place, I don't think I ever heard his name up to 10 times before I left that place because he's just so dormant. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't act. He's just there. So I really don't just know what is going on. Imo State is actually in the hands of God anyway. The hands of God. No jobs, nothing. Nothing. And those are major reasons why crimes are on the high side because you must feed. You must feed. So people are really doing terrible things just to put food on the table, killings here and there. And the most annoying part of it is that it's the young ones, like people that you don't even expect, to soil their hands are the ones that are doing this even without conscience. And it's really a bad thing on our part, on the part of our parents. So some of them are not even aware of what their children are doing. Maybe they just when they see the money, you forget to ask where it's coming from. With that joy, they just jubilate, not having to look into their child and trying to find out the source of the person's income and all that, which is very bad. And with peer pressure, you seeing your friends maybe making it, people you feel that you started with have left you and they're on another level. You really want to feel among. You wouldn't want to be left behind, so you'll be forced to also soil your hands or do whatever it is they're doing just to get to that level that they are. And it's quite alarming. It's something that is not good at all. Something that is not good at all. So I just wish our government can actually change for the best and not promising us with their mouth and doing nothing. I wish they can actually change and put it into action because the young ones, they're the ones suffering it right now and it's really telling on them.
Hi, sorry to interrupt, Anyanna. We just got 5 more minutes because we have gone over
Yes,
time.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So I think, I mean, Ezinwa's just given from a young woman's voice about what's going on day to day.
Yeah.
And yes, so I think there's work for us to do in terms of raising awareness of what is actually happening. It's extremely important we do so because Nigeria is the most populous nation in Africa, has the largest population in Africa. And it's estimated that it will be on par with India's population or exceed in maybe 30 years' time or so. It's also the largest population of, pardon?
Let me get the door for the change. Just go back.
Okay. it's also the largest young people. I think the age is 22. So if we can get the largest population of young people in Africa to uprise, then we can reclaim Africa for us again. But we need to overcome the era of stool pigeons, the era of the UK, the British government still seizing our land, our goods, and the minds of our people with imposter leaders. Right, so I will thank you for having myself and Ezinwa.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for giving us an insight.
Yeah.
Not only in greetings, but also into actually what's actually happening.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to Ezinwa. I know she's got a hard slave driver of a sister there, because I know. Anyanna's like, I don't care if you're sick, you're coming on. So, and I know, yeah, you're smiling, I know. So no, but both of you done fantastic. It was really a good, informative presentation. So thank you. Thank you.
It was a pleasure, it was ours. And yeah, more language lessons.
Yes.
And yeah, I've learned a lot from Ezinwa today. And slightly embarrassed as well, actually, how bad I'm out of touch I am. So apologies there. But yeah, it's been a lovely evening. Thank you so much.
As I said, thank you. And just to let the audience know as well that Anyanna is part of the Garvey. She's on the management committee. So that's it. I've given you an extra special thank you.
Big thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, a big thank you. I second that. Big thank you to Sister Anyanna and also Ezinwa for the insight and information. And I hope you get well soon, sis. And don't forget to put a bit of cayenne pepper in as well in your concoction that you're going to give yourself.
She'll make a drink. We'll give her some bissy tea.
Yes.
Because she's never had cola nuts like that before.
That's true. But she's got to add the cayenne pepper in it as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Speedy recovery, sis.
Yeah. Mimi, I see you have your hand up, but we haven't got any time to for any questions. So we're going to have to move swiftly on to our next presentation. And Omowale, thank you. You've been waiting so patiently. So Brother Omowale, who's telling us some more information about the life and times of the Right Honourable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So Omowale, Pert-em-Hru, the screen is now yours and welcome.
Thank you very much to Auntie Jean. Warmest greetings to everybody. I've got another drum today. You notice my drum on the altar. I don't know if you can see the altar.
Yes, yes.
I've got one drum on the altar, and I've got another drum here today. These drums are freshly in from Ghana.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to one of them today. Yeah. Let me just do a little bit of drumming just to open. Asheo.
Asheo, sounds nice.
Yay.
Hey.
Yes, I like to just start with a little bit of drumming, and I know you've poured libation already, for which I'm truly grateful. But just to say to the ancestors that we're very grateful for life, and we're very grateful for their guidance. So I'm here continuing the Garvey series, an ongoing program of just looking at the life and times of Marcus Garvey, which is more than just Marcus Garvey. It's the UNIA, the organization that he founded, co-founded, I should say, with Amy Ashwood Garvey. It's also the whole process, and that, that's part of a process of the liberation of African people, which ties in so much with the conversation that we were having just a few minutes ago with Sister, I think it's Anyanna, and Sister, is it Ezinwa?
Yes.
That conversation that we were having about the terrible developments in Nigeria is part of that whole African liberation process, part of what we're trying to remove from our experience at the moment, in order that we may live in a way that is worthy of us as African people. And of course, Africa is part of humanity. So, when we look at Marcus Garvey, we don't look at Marcus Garvey in isolation. We look at Marcus Garvey within the context of organization, within the context of the African continent, within the context of the world. Now, I'm just looking back now at some of the things that we have been doing. So just to remind us that, some weeks ago now, some months ago, I should say, we looked at the birth and context surrounding the birth of Garvey. We then looked at young Garvey, the early years of Garvey. And again, we tried to contextualize those early years. We looked at Garvey in England. He came to England between 1912 and 1914 for the first time, and repeated those visits on 3 more occasions, even crossing to meet the ancestors here in England. We spent some time looking at personal aspects of Garvey, personal relations of Garvey. An area that for some is very uncomfortable, but it helps us to understand the man in greater depth when we look at that aspect of him and his development. We spent 2 weeks, I think it was, doing a literature search where I shared the sources that I rely on in order to present these sessions. The second to last session, we looked at what I called the 3 origins of the UNIA. In order to understand a thing, it's important to understand its origin at one level, its purpose at another level, and who benefits from that thing and who suffers as a result of that thing. So we started off by looking at the origin of the UNIA, but not just a simple origin, but recognizing that there were 3 distinct origins, if you like, of the UNIA. And in the last session, we focused on the 3rd origin. We focused on the 3rd origin because that 3rd point was the critical beginning, if I can put it this way, or the critical milestone from which developed the mass organization that we know as the UNIA and African Communities League. So it's it's a combined organization of which UNIA was the top. Now, I was going to go today to look at the nature of the organization that is the UNIA. But on reflection, I've decided to spend a little bit more time on context before looking more precisely at the organization that is the UNIA and the African Communities League. And what I want to do in today's session, I'll do my best, is to speak to the question of how did he do it? How did Garvey achieve the great things that he achieved? And I'm putting it in simplistic terms when I'm saying how did Garvey? Garvey represents a massive collective of African people who made those achievements. And you'll often hear people say, well, how did Garvey manage to get all of these millions of people together when at that time there was no internet? He didn't have the benefit of Facebook where you could just, type something into a computer or Twitter or whatever it is, all these things that they've got. I'm getting a bit old now, so I don't know all of these different bits and pieces that they had there, but things where you can get sort of 1 million followers, etc. I mean, he did not have that. We have this today, but none of us has managed to build a mass organization in the way that Garvey did. So how on earth did he manage to do that 100 years ago? And we can't do that now with all of the additional technological advantages that we have now over and above what Garvey and his compatriots had at that time. So I'm going to try to speak to that question in today's session, and then we'll move in more detail to look at the organization in the next session. And I'm going to suggest that the reason, the central reason, there'll always be more than one reason, but the central reason for the great success, organizing success that was experienced by Garvey and the UNIA was World War I. And I just want to spend a bit more time looking at World War I and its implications before moving on to look in more detail at the UNIA. So what does war do? It does many things. But I'm going to suggest that one of the things that it does is it raises the consciousness of a people. Yes, it throws us into survival mode. But because if we make a mistake in war, there's a great chance that it will cost us our lives, we have to be alert. We have to try to be error-free in our judgments. We have to know what's going on around us in order not to be killed. You see, many of us, I'm in the 60+ category now, many of us don't know what war is. When I was a child in the 1960s, I used to play on what were called bomb sites. Now, there were bomb sites were basically places where in the World War that happened 15 to 20 years before I played in those sites, the German planes would fly over this country and they would drop bombs on different parts of London. And London had not recovered from the World War. So there were dilapidated houses. There were houses blown to smithereens just lining the streets. There were places where you just saw bits of houses remaining. And as children, those were our playgrounds. And some children, even when they were playing, found bombs which were not yet exploded. Yeah, so this was the nearest that my generation, if you like, got to the war. My children now, who were born in the 1980s and 90s and even the early 2000s, my children haven't even got the first concept of war. They didn't even have the opportunity to play in those kinds of settings. So their life was one of great comfort relative to mine. Mine was one of great comfort relative to my parents, and so on and so forth. So when you don't have to be too concerned about whether you're going to be alive tomorrow or not, and I know our young people, particularly our young men, are now reaching into a war zone, in a different type of war zone. But when the whole nation is fearful, then the whole nation has got to come together. And when a nation of African people in a foreign land are fearful, and that foreign land is a racist foreign land, where you know, wickedness is heaped on African people for no reason other than the fact that we're African people, then this kind of forces us together as a means of self-defense. So our consciousness, our ability to unite was enhanced by the World War because everybody was in danger, but African people were in greater danger. You know, if you look at the working class people of Britain, you know, the working class people of Britain, yeah, we could argue everybody's relatively poor, but the African people are made the poorest. Racism ensures that that's the case. And so those kind of forces push us together. And in those days, there would have been very few opportunities for a few Africans to slip through the cracks, to go and get high-paying jobs and those kinds of things. You know, there was a solid wall. There would have been no Race Relations Act at that time. It wasn't until 1965, you know, that the Race Relations Act came into existence in somewhere like Britain. So you can imagine that in the 1920s, the notion of race relations and the Race Relations Act were so far from the minds of Europeans that even that theoretical protection wasn't in place for our people. Another thing that happens in war is war forces change. So it changes the circumstances within which we operate. But before I go on to look at more specifically the changes that it forces, I want to speak to the logic of war. The logic of war, because many of us don't even have to think about the logic of war. But if we understand that there is a logic to it, something called the 3 stages of war, if we understand that there is a logic to war, we can then begin to piece together how it impacts on us and, you know, stimulates us, if you like, or stimulates people to rise up and take what is rightfully theirs. So I'm just going to do a brief examination of the logic of war. Now, in the first phase of war, what you have are 2 sets of peoples who have a disagreement, and fight against each other. Fighting to the death, possibly fighting to the surrender of the other, possibly. And what happens is the victors, in other words, the ones who win the war, take control of the people and property, in other words, the land of those who lost the war. So winning war brings benefits. Wars bring disaster, but if you win the war, then what happens in war in general is the land of the losing people is confiscated from them, stolen from them. The women of the conquered people are very often raped. The men very often killed. And then the victors just start to build an empire, if you like. They've got more land than when they started off during the war. So that's essentially phase one of war, or stage one of war. Now, stage two of war happens when a group of people work out that they're quite good at war. So there's a people, and they work out that if they have a war, they tend to win. And when they win, there are bounties associated with winning. So they're not content with just having, one war. What then happens is that, after they've defeated one enemy, they go and look for another enemy, and they defeat that enemy. And then they go and look for another enemy, and then they defeat that enemy. And they do it until they've built up an empire. And so they are very good at war. They're very good at winning wars. And so they go around bullying other people because they know that if they can defeat those other people, then they can steal their land. They can abuse the women of the other lands, etc. They like that, and so they do it. Never mind, in their way of thinking, never mind the consequences that are heaped on the other people. All they're interested in is they get what they see as benefits. And that's stage two of war, the second stage of war. Now there's a stage three of war. And stage three of war happens when one set of bullies who have created an empire, they've run out of weaker peoples to conquer. The next set of weaker people that they go to conquer has already been conquered by another bully who is doing the same thing as them in another part of the world. And so then what happens is when they go to invade and kill their next set of people, those people have already been conquered. And so they find themselves in a battle with another set of bullies like themselves who have gone around conquering in another part of the world. And so in effect, what happens is one set of bullies now get into a war with another set of bullies. One empire fights another empire. One group of imperialists fight another group of imperialists. And when one group of imperialists fight another group of imperialists, that is called world war. That is stage three war. So what they do is when they're fighting another set of imperialists, they pull all of the resources from the people that they've conquered before into it in order to fight the war for them. So that's how Africans ended up fighting in world wars that at one level appeared to have nothing to do with us. In fact, the world wars were really about Africa, but that's another thing that I'll be happy to explain on another occasion. But we were pulled in. Asians were pulled in. The working classes of Europe were pulled in because the imperialists were now fighting each other. Now, what happens when the imperialists fight each other is, well, it's world war, but what it does is it weakens the imperialists. They have to fight so hard that in a sense, they get tired and they get weakened because they're busy killing off each other. And they get weakened to such a point that a fourth stage of war begins to develop. So when those imperial powers are so weakened through fighting each other that the people who have been oppressed by them can rise up, that is stage 4 of war. That is revolutionary war. That's where people who have been oppressed rise up to take what is theirs. So I'm explaining the logic of war, the 4 stages of war, in order to set a template for understanding how it is that Garvey, the UNIA, and African people in general were able to rise up in the period, the late 1910s and the early 1920s. If we look at what happened during World War I, well, first of all, who were the great powers at that time? The great powers in the world at that time was Britain. You know, they had this theory that the sun never sets on the British Empire. They'd gone around stealing so much land all around the world. The second great power was France. France, which has taken most of West Africa, stolen most of West Africa, stolen a whole heap of land in Asia and in the Americas too. Remember, much of Canada was controlled by France. Louisiana in US Satan was controlled by France. There was French Guyana, also otherwise known as Cayenne, which was controlled by France. There were islands like Martinique, Guadeloupe, Haiti, St. Martin, part of the island of St. Martin. And we can go through the islands in the Caribbean where the French got up to their badness as well. So Britain was one of those imperial bullies. France was another of those imperial bullies, but there was a third imperial bully emerging. And that third imperial bully was Germany. Now, you don't hear about Germany in the enslavement phase of African history. And that's not because Germans were nice. It was because there wasn't a Germany. Yeah? Germany is a recent political construct. So they were not strong enough at the time of the enslavement era to be able to come and enslave our people. They were not powerful enough to be able to do that. And the World War really happened as a result of them wanting to take their share of the richest continent in the world. The richest continent in the world is Africa, and them not being happy with the allocation of Africa that they had. They were given 4 parts of Africa. They were not happy with it. As far as they were concerned, they are the big soups now. So, you know, they have to get the whole of Africa for themselves. And that's, in essence, what the World War was about. Britain and France trying to stop Germany from getting Africa, and Germany saying, we're going to take it anyway. That's, in a nutshell, that's what the World War were really about. Yeah. But what were some of the things that were happening as these, Germany gives France 2 slaps, more or less send her home. You understand? Early on in the war, yeah. Britain was terrified of Germany, but fought with them, and eventually, with the assistance of Russia and a few others, managed just about to defeat Germany. Now, so what was happening was France was made weak. Britain was weakened. Germany, of course, was also weakened. The old Tsarist Russia was weakened. And one of the first things, in fact, I won't even go there yet. I won't even go there yet because I haven't mentioned US Satan. At that time, US Satan, which was existing on the back of our blood as African people, was not strong enough to enter big man business, because France, Germany, and all those, that was big man business to them. So they were not strong enough to enter into world war, so they kept themselves out of it and let the others kill themselves. Now, whilst the others were weakening themselves, what US Satan did is it decided to do a bit of its own. So in 1915, US Satan invaded Haiti and occupied and took over Haiti. Why? France can't do anything about it. France got 2 slaps from Germany. Yeah, so they can't even defend themselves. So if they can't defend themselves, they can't come back to come and say they're fighting US Satan for Haiti. So US Satan just went in and take over Haiti. These are the parts of history that we're not taught. We don't hear too much about this part of history. Yeah. In 1916, US Satan invaded the Dominican Republic and took it over. Now, the Spanish had their influence there, but the Spanish were always the little kind of at the back. You understand? As far as the modern imperialists go, they had their time when the Pope did give them a certain amount of land and all this kind of thing, but their time had passed. So they were the kind of nation that the big boys could just slap down whenever they wanted to. And so US Satan realized this and just went in and took over Dominican Republic. Nothing that Spain could do about it. In 1917, US Satan went in and took over Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is now like a province of US Satan today. They got it through invading it in 1917. Now these dates are significant, yeah? Because the World War, or World War I, lasted from 1914 to 1918. So whilst the big soup nations, if I can put it this way, the bullying nations, the bullying imperialists were fighting each other, US Satan said, okay, we're just going to go in and invade and take over there. There's nothing they can do about it. They're fighting each other. Yeah. And they took over those 3. Next on the list was going to be the island of Jamaica. US Satan would have invaded Jamaica. Why would they have invaded Jamaica? They would have invaded Jamaica because Jamaica is the nearest island in the Caribbean to the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is the connection between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And whoever controls that controls world shipping in the Western Hemisphere. Well, the cross between the West and the Eastern Hemisphere. And their excuse for going and invading Jamaica, if they'd chosen to, was to say that they're trying to prevent the Germans from getting hold of the Panama Canal. But there's the so-called special relationship between Britain and US Satan prevented the invasion of Jamaica. Basically, Britain is the mother of US Satan, or the Europeans over here are the mothers of the Europeans in US Satan. And they didn't have the power at the time. But notice, if you fast forward 60 years and you come to, let me see, the 25th of October, 1983, notice how US Satan went into Grenada and just invaded Grenada, despite what Britain had to say. Because at that time, they were now the big soups of the world, and they just told Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister of Britain, to rest her mouth as they went down and just invaded Grenada. They would have done that to Jamaica if they had felt powerful enough at the time, but they did not feel powerful enough at the time. Now, I'm explaining this to show the massive changes that can take place whilst a world war is going on. Remember, we're speaking to the question of how did Garvey do it? You know, how did they manage to achieve all that they achieved when we can't do it now? And war is one of the fundamental reasons why. War was the reason why US Satan could change the Western Hemisphere by invading the nations that it chose to, and the other bullying nations couldn't stop them. Also at that time, you had something called the Balfour Declaration. I'm not going to go into any detail on the Balfour Declaration, except to say that the Balfour Declaration speaks to the issue of what today is called Israel. It was the Zionists attempting to get what they called a holy land in order for them to house themselves. And at that time, they wanted their holy land to be in Uganda. So they were trying to steal Uganda, even though they didn't even know what they were talking about. They thought they were going to Kenya, but it was actually Uganda that they were trying to get hold of. They were trying to steal Uganda to create what they call Israel. And the reason for that, you know, the idea that where life began, where the world began, the Garden of Gethsemane, and all those kind of biblical things, they associated that with Uganda, you know, where the Garden of Gethsemane is. And so they wanted that as their homeland. And we had to fight like mad as Africans to prevent them from having that, you know? But those were the kinds of things that were going on. They could even you know, choose that they want part of Africa and make noise that they want part of Africa, because the other imperialists were weakened, and so they could use it to maneuver and create a space for themselves. But the biggest shift in the world during World War I came in 1917. It came in the form of the Russian Revolution, where the Tsar of Russia was overthrown, and the people of Russia, under the leadership of Vladimir Lenin, took control. And so you had the Russian Revolution creating great upheaval amongst the imperialists. At the same time, in India, there was a massive upsurge. At the same time, in China, there was a massive upsurge, all happening during World War I. Now, what would happen is when the Second World War came along, those two nations would make their little breakthroughs. India would become independent in 1947. World War II was 39 to 45. China would make their breakthrough, the Chinese Revolution, in 1949. Again, war was what underpinned the Russians rising up. War was what underpinned the Indians rising in their own way. War was what underpinned the Chinese rising up. And so we were not immune to that. And what was happening is during World War I and World War II, African people were rising. We are the sleeping giants. Now, why was it so hard for us to rise up The others, you know, the Russians could rise up, the Chinese, the Asian, the Indians, etc. They could all rise up. But for us, it was much more difficult. Why? Because we had been dispersed all around the world. And imperialism had got a firm grip on our land, which is the richest land in the world, and they're not letting that go at all. So it was much harder for us to rise up, but we were rising. And that rising is symbolized by Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, but it didn't start with Marcus Garvey and the UNIA. We looked already at Hubert Harrison and the anti-war league that he founded, where he used to have street meetings with, you know, there was one reported of 12,000 people, you know, in a street meeting where the police had to come and turn traffic around and etc. etc. So there was this anti-war movement. The anti-war movement had an African element to it. We were, in fact, you may as well just call us the leadership of the anti-war movement. And Garvey came into that anti-war movement. He was accepted in that anti-war movement. And then he built the UNIA on the back of that anti-war movement. When he came into that movement and he made his impression on the people around him, it created the context within which an organization could rise. And it wasn't just an African rising, it was people from all over the world who were rising at that point in history. And so, you know, one of the symptoms of that is the Harlem Renaissance. Our sister Anyanna explained that the most densely populated part of the world for African people is Nigeria. 1/5 of the African population is in Nigeria. Well, there was a special quirk in New York, because New York, and not just New York, but Harlem, when you looked at the density of population of African people in Harlem, it was even more densely populated than Nigeria. So of course it didn't have the massive numbers of Nigeria, but when you looked at the concentration, African people were concentrated in Harlem there in a more densely than any other part of the world. And those African people were representative of African people from all around the world, because we had migrated to New York. Some had migrated from inside USA. Many had migrated from the Caribbean. When you go back to the 1920s, you'll see that it was the different islands that were represented in the UNIA. One of the reasons why they were able to make those links and those networks. Yeah? And the African continent, African people from home were represented in New York as well. So what happened is when they had a convention, a UNIA convention, you had people in that convention who were connected with every island in the Caribbean, who were connected with most of the what we think of today as nations in Africa, and who would be linked to other parts of the diaspora. And they were able to make links between friends and family across the entire globe, because they were now concentrated. That concentration of African people in Harlem were able to make links with African people all over the world, literally, because they were representative. They were a microcosm of African people from all over the world. And when those African people in Harlem began to unite, and when they did things like create a Black Star shipping line, which was thought to be impossible, how on earth do African people, it's a bit like us now saying, oh, right, I feel like having a spaceship, yeah? I mean, the idea of us having a spaceship is some people might even laugh at it, yeah? And in those days, people were laughing at Garvey when he said he's gonna have a fleet of ships. They said, well, this man's completely off his head, you know? How can African people own ships? He said, you know, this man, you better find a lunatic asylum to put him in because African people are not supposed to own ships. That was the kind of thinking at the time, yeah? But when Garvey showed that it was possible, then all of a sudden, everybody had to look up what's going on. African people actually own ships. You know, that's impossible, but it's done. Who did it? Garvey did it. You know? And then, you know, African people from all over the world got to know this because they had family members and friends in Harlem. And they would write to each other and they would say, look, you know, this guy Garvey's amazing. He's, you know, he's got ships, it's real shit. I've seen it, you know. Or somebody would say, I've been on it. I went on the ship myself. Others would say, I've got shares in it. And so that was a symbol of success. And you've got to understand that as a people, we had not known success. We were getting slapped right. We were getting slapped left. Every time we lift up our head, it gets slapped, slap, slap. And here was an organization headed by Marcus Garvey, the UNIA, which managed to raise its head, and it did get slapped down later, yeah, but it managed to raise its head far enough to get what today would be the equivalent of a fleet of spaceships and say, we're going to go and do our thing. So these are some of the factors that contributed to this massive rise in the, you know, of membership in the UNIA. Now, I'm just going to go to my book, Pan-Africanism, From Program to Philosophy, and Outlook on Liberation. This chapter 2 is a chapter on Marcus Garvey. It's very useful for people who want to understand Marcus Garvey and the UNIA and what they represented in historical terms. And let me see. I'm gonna I'm gonna find a little section here to read to you. And the idea is to give you a sense of the development of the UNIA. Bear with me. I'm gonna have to look. There is a part that I just want to read to you. I'm just gonna have to look for that. There's the Black Star shipping line. There's the mass party. What I want to do is I want to give you a sense of how this organization developed, something maybe about the about how the numbers developed. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, the exponential rise of the UNIA. So I'm reading from my book here, and I'll just read it as it is here. Garvey and the people around him were more than mere advocates of effective organization. Their work stood as testimony to it. They were without a doubt amongst the most accomplished organizers of that era, both in the African liberation movement and beyond. They packed halls and arenas during their speaking tours, but more importantly, they had the ability to translate packed halls into effective organizational activity aimed at advancing African people. Their formidable organization, the UNIA, established branches on 5 continents. And before reading on, let me just say this. So Garvey wasn't just talking about, being effective. Garvey wasn't just talking about building organization. What distinguished Garvey and the UNIA is they actually did it. This is very important. We've got lots of people who can speak and sound good, etc., etc. But try to get them to get 1,000 people together. We haven't got many people that can do that. We haven't got many organizations that can do that. But Garvey could do that. And that was just the start of it, you know. He would have meetings with thousands of people. So let me read on. The rise of the UNIA was remarkable by any standards. Garvey reported only 13 members following a split in 1917. So think about it. In 1917, remember we spoke about the second origin of the UNIA. Well, the second origin comes, you know, out of that split. The UNIA goes one way, UNIA goes the other way. The real UNIA, of course, is where Garvey is. Yeah. And that forms, that's like the second origin because they've split. And there are only 13 members at that point. Yeah. And reading on, so from 13 members, in 1918, the organization was calling meetings attracting 3, 5, 7, and over 10,000 people. Think about that. You call a meeting and 3,000 people turn up, 5,000 people to 7,000 people, 10,000 people turn up to a meeting. Again, you know, all of this was around, it's wartime. We're doing this for our survival. We're doing this for the survival of our children. And this guy has got ships. You know, we don't know how he did it, but he's got it. So we're going to support him. So he was able to show that success. Reading on. By 1919, the UNIA boasted a membership of over 2 million people. That, incidentally, that 2 million happened after the launch of the Black Star shipping line. Because when those ships, when the first ship was put on the sea and people could go and stand on the shore and wave to the ship, and some of them could go on the ship and have a little ride on the ship, you know, that's when people said, this man means business. This UNIA means business. I need to be a part of it. So he had shown success. And when he showed that success, everybody wanted to be a part of it. So African people were flocking to be a part of that great success, which was the UNIA. Reading on. In 1920, the UNIA convention brought 25,000 people to New York's Madison Square Gardens. 25,000 people for one meeting. Think about that. You know, think about that. 25,000 people for one meeting. This was the pull, the draw of Garvey and the UNIA. Reading on. In 1923, Garvey assessed the membership of the UNIA at 6 million. A figure which he later told us rose to a height of 11 million. I just want you to think about that. A membership of 6 million and later 11 million. Now, these are the figures that Garvey himself gave us. Garvey told us this. And there are some historians who doubt Garvey, who say that no, there's no way that they could have had 6 million. There's no way they could have had 11 million. So we just have to acknowledge that there are some historians that take that position. Basically, what they're saying is Garvey's a liar. Well, maybe they might not be putting it so boldly, but what they would be saying is, well, Garvey's exaggerating the figures to make himself look good. Yeah. Now, let me continue reading. Let me just continue reading. I'll do it this way. Yeah. The UNIA was such a large organization spread over a range of continents, and at its heyday, and its heyday so long, it's hardly surprising that there are difficulties in establishing precise details of its membership. One attempted summary of its chapter numbers comes from Richard Hart, who says, and before I go on to quote Richard Hart used to live here in Britain. He used to be in Bristol. He's now an ancestor. I had the honor of drumming at his funeral. I had the honor of being able to sit and speak with Richard Hart about Garvey and other issues. Richard Hart is the person who did the research that showed us that Garvey actually studied at Birkbeck, which became part of London University. So we have a lot to be grateful to Richard Hart for. He went into the records. He spoke to the staff there and found a member of staff who actually remembered Garvey as a student. Yeah, so we have to be very grateful. And Richard Hart says this. He says, according to a list of UNI divisions or chapters, according to a list of UNI divisions or chapters that had reported their activities in the Negro World. The Negro World, by the way, is the newspaper of the UNIA. The UNIA's newspaper published in New York in the period 1921 to 1933, or were listed in the records of the UNIA Central Division in New York. There had been 670 in USA, and that's 670 chapters, 39 in Panama, 29 in Trinidad, 26 in Cuba, 23 in Costa Rica, 21 in Canada, 10 in Jamaica, 6 in South Africa, 5 each in the Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and Honduras, 4 each in British Guyana and Nicaragua, 3 each in Sierra Leone and Mexico, 2 each in Liberia, Nigeria, Bahamas, British Honduras, and Namibia, and 1 each in Ecuador, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Antigua, Australia, Basutoland, Bermuda, Brazil, Venezuela, and the Virgin Islands. So this is what Richard Hart showed us. We know, I know that this list is incomplete because I know that there was one in my village in the island of Dominica. So I know that there was a chapter there, and this record doesn't show that. So we know that there are more even than are reported here. Yeah. Now, Richard Hart's analysis can be contrasted with Tony Martin, who makes the following observation. Now, before going on to share what Tony Martin wrote, let me say that Tony Martin is now an ancestor also. I had the honor of being able to meet and speak with Tony Martin on a number of occasions. And many of us actually have had the honor of being able to meet and speak with Tony Martin. So there are a lot of people in our community here who have been blessed to be able to dialogue with Tony Martin and learn from him. And he was, when he was alive, he was the official historian of the UNIA, the modern UNIA. And he said this, he said, the discovery in 1970 of UNIA records, including membership files, provides a unique opportunity to verify these figures. According to the data in these records, mostly compiled from about 1925 through to 1928, there were 725 UNIA branches in US Satan and 271 outside US Satan, making a grand total of 996 branches. So in essence, there were 1,000 chapters of the UNIA spread around the world. So we can begin to see the genuineness of the figures that Garvey gave us. Objectively, we can begin to see the genuineness of the figures that Garvey gave us. that he was not exaggerating, that our people were clamoring to get on board the organization that is the UNIA. I'm looking at the time now. I think I should stop there. Sometimes I get a little bit excited, but I'll stop there and we can continue with an analysis of the UNIA as an organization the next time we meet. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for your attention.
Wonderful presentation.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, thank you,
I
thank
second
you.
that.
Thank you so much, Omowale.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Very informative as always.
Fantastic.
And they goes away.
Thank you, Omowale. Yeah, great, good work.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, you got thank yous and love hearts all over the place. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you'll see Omowale is going to be coming back for the next part next month. So he'll be coming back on the second Friday of the month, every month. So Omowale, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that,
Garvey Village. I really appreciate you allowing me this space. So thank you very much to all at Garvey Village.
thank you, thank you.
We don't have any time to ask questions, but anyway, we may be able to ask next time you come.
Next time, yeah. Sorry, go on, Auntie Jane.
Yeah, I've got a quick clip to show you before I hand you back over to you, Shez, and then you can introduce just a quick presentation. Okay.
Do that. You can't do that. The officer's being aggressive. Excuse me. Excuse me. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Excuse me. You're being aggressive. Hello? Hello, leave him alone. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything, officer. He hasn't done anything. You're being aggressive. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done, no. You guys are being rude. No, stop that. Stop that. Stop that. No, you guys are being rude. You guys, no, excuse me, do not touch me. Don't touch me. I'm a medical patient, so do not hurt me. Listen, I'm a medical patient. I suffer from anxiety. No, you guys are, no, you're being very, very aggressive. You're being very, very aggressive against him. You're being very, very aggressive against him. No, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this, guys. You can't do this. Guys, you can't do this. This is fraud. You can't do this. You can't do this. This is my family you're hurting. You're hurting my family. And you do anything. That's my family you're hurting. This is my family. This is my family you're hurting. I'm gonna go get public help. This is fraudulent. Excuse me. No, you're stopping me. Excuse me, madam, I don't want to hurt you. Madam, you're stopping me from moving. Madam, you're stopping me from moving. You're cornering me.
Okay, I'm going to hand you over to Sister Shez.
Thank you, Auntie Jane. Brother Kwesi, do you want to come on now? Yay.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for gracing our screen. Yeah. Just want to give an introduction. For it to be concise, yeah. Okay, and a brief introduction on what was happening on Wednesday in the court, and also what's going to happen next Tuesday as well. I would appreciate if you do that for us, right, brother?
Sure. Greetings, everyone on the platform. I've had to put that out because that shows the magnitude of the corruption that is in our courts and the state. So basically on Wednesday, I was assisting a friend, the guy filming in court. Now, due to the frauds on the case, and we had told them we had come to prove the fraud on the case. So in a sense, the judge abandoned the court and then called for security. Now, that was myself, by the way, that was happening with. So where I was the public gallery. So whereas I had come in as a litigant friend to support my friend, the judge said, I need to make an application, which is not the case. But not to provoke them, I still went and sat in a public gallery, as he said. But then as the person I'd gone in with was addressing him, he abandoned the court and then asked for security to come in. So what you see there is after the security has come in, I said to them, I had a lawful purpose to be there, but them knowing what I know, and also I think is a pretext to what's happening on Tuesday, because Tuesday I filed for a habeas corpus for someone in prison, which the Crown and the Ministry of Justice are all parties. Now, the judges have tried to remove the other parties and only make the prison the party. But there's so much fraud. The prison governor, even the return of the writ, signed it a month in advance. So they signed it 16th of May, which I believe today is even 14th or so. So try and put me away before the hearing. Called Grant and a few people have been notified on Tuesday. So in a sense, after that, they've arrested me. That officer, although he's assaulted me, he's claiming I assaulted him. Now, due to what I know, they couldn't charge me as of yet, but then also is the provoking things that they did even after that. Some of it due to my surroundings, because we are at a gathering. I won't go into much detail. Have me.
Is he dropped out?
Yeah, I believe that he's dropped out.
No, he's back. He's back.
He's back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but these
Yeah,
are
you
what you
dropped
call
out
glitches
for
in
a
the
bit.
matrix. Yeah, but I think there's a bit too, because why conveniently I just dropped out. But anyway, we'll leave that as that. So the essence Tuesday, yeah, they're very much on my case. I mean, today there's been so much back and forth between the lawyers or the prison and the court. Even the barrister wanted to say he wants to do the hearing remote. That's how criminal these people are. We've asked for the person to be produced in court. They say no, but we've got a notice from him in prison. So I'm going to notify the court, even if it's tomorrow. But there's been so much back and forth because they are just nervous. So what I'm saying is on Tuesday, anyone that can make it Royal Court of Justice, they've still not given us the courtroom yet, or even the time or the hearing, but everybody wants to vacate the hearing. Well, it depends what we are doing on the other side. If we're turning up, the lawyer must turn up. And the essence of this is we as the people have power, but we don't know how to exercise it. So for instance, with what you saw happening there, if there was more of us, it wouldn't have happened. And what we have to do is each other's case is all our cases, because we are one race. When you look at it, we are one race. We are looked at together. So once we start supporting each other, as I always say, with a broom, if you pull one out, you can break it. It's an old African proverb. But no one can break a broom in a bunch. And as you heard near the end of the video, the brother that I was even with, they had provoked him to arrest him as well, because if you check, he had to go over the chairs because a female was standing in his way. And these are what they're doing in our courts. But as I said, if this goes viral, that's why I give him to sis for everyone to share it. They would have to act different. The reason why George Floyd went the way it was is because it became public and the public could see the common sense in what the police officer did. So the public were the judges and not the judges. So we're still going to try and get the person to be produced in court. But regardless of what they do, we'll be there on Tuesday, and I'll say from 10 o'clock, because they have not given us time yet, unless they release this person. But this is not just about that person. The way I've done the habeas corpus is to make sure that they now review how many of our males they're keeping on remand. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but it seems with us, we're guilty until proven innocent. And we deal with the paperwork. A copy of it was served to Buckingham Palace. And funny enough, by the way, the police kept my phone. So that's disorganized me a bit as well. They couldn't charge me, yet they kept my phone. because to distract me from the proceedings about to happen. But we're stronger than that. I've gone beyond it. I've been working hard thoroughly all today, contacted the people I need to contact, and even to be on a Zoom call now. So if anyone's got any questions, if not, I hope I've given you a bit of clarity. And I know, as Sister Shez said, I will hopefully at some point as well, I'll be able to share the story of when they attacked my family as my children and how I got them back. So if anyone got any quick questions about Tuesday.
Absolutely. So no, I just want to just say thank you, because I know I think people are just shocked by what they have actually witnessed, what's happened to you, you know, Kwesi. So as I've said, you will also be on the African Culture Market on Sunday, so you can give a bit more body to what what's happened. So yeah, I just want to repeat, Tuesday the 18th, the Royal Court of Justice at 10 o'clock. Is that correct? Okay. So they're cutting you out now with your Zoom, with the Wi-Fi keeps on coming and going. All right. So hopefully you're going to be in a different location.
That's correct.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be in a different location next time. All right, brother?
Yeah.
All right. I'll just
on Sunday I will be. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you as well, Sister Shez. As I said, you see the spirit in me. Sure.
So where is the court?
Thank you.
More details of the
Royal Court of Justice.
Which is
the
where?
Ministry of Justice is a party. So this is, I mean, I would say every black person should turn up, because this is not just about that person. Sorry?
Hold on a minute, Sister Patricia. Hold on a minute. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on, Kwesi.
Yeah, the Ministry of Justice is a party. So the more we turn up, because we're here to make a point that they cannot keep our males on remand, because this guy has been on remand over a year now, and the police is not producing documents, and we need to make a difference and a point. So that's what we're there to send a message and to direct them that if they can't apply the law, then we're gonna have to do what's necessary to protect ourselves and our families.
Yeah. So the court is in, it's in the Strand, Sister Patricia. Sister Patricia?
I'm hearing you. It's not just for my benefit, it's for other people.
Yeah, the Royal Court of Justice is, I would also put it in the chat as well, so people have got that, yeah? Okay. All right. Brother Kwesi, thank you so much, okay?
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, Brother Kwesi. So can hear the story.
And we know that you've got a lot more to talk about, especially with family as well. The spirit in you is beautiful. So yeah, no, all power to you, my brother. Okay, so yeah, with that, we will arrange another date for you to do that special as well. All right.
Sure.
All right, brother. Speak to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Back over to you, Auntie Jane.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to call on Sis Dr. Sandra Richards. Are you in the house? Can you talk about the mango tree? You got the mango tree on tomorrow between 5 and 8. Sis Doctor, are you there? I can see you, but are you able to unmute yourself and tell us about the mango tree? I don't know if you can hear. No? All right, then I'll call on you afterwards. We've got a couple of things happening. We've got the pyramid from Arthur Tomlinson, and that is on Monday. So we've got module 2 and module 3. Module 2 is going to be starting at 6:30. They have put the details into the chat, 6:30 till 8. And module 3, if you're on module 3, will be on from 8:30 till 10. And also on Sunday, we've got the African Culture Market, where we have our sister Queen Nzinga Asatua. And also we have Dr. Nick, and we have our brother Vander Peters. And if you did see a couple of weeks ago, Vander Peters did an introduction to himself and what he's going to be actually talking about, and how he's actually moved on from the part of the story that you actually heard as an introduction. So that is going to be a Sunday on Auntie Jean's African Culture Market between 7 o'clock and 11. And the link is actually in the chat. I will also be sending out emails as well. I'm talking about emails. Some of you, not on the email list that goes out for the events, but my other email got hacked. So if I haven't got around to you yet, I was going to say I got hacked on Wednesday. So please do not answer that email saying that, you know, I need a favor, because that's how the email starts for you to get in contact with them. And basically they was asking for a £200 voucher for you to buy in Tesco or Sainsbury's scratch off and give them the code. So I've actually changed all my passwords and also retrieved my actual email address, so that my emails are actually coming back to me now. And I can actually see on my phone, they're still trying to hack into it, but because I've got lots of different measures now, there's no way they can get back into it. So apologies for anybody who's on my other email list and received that. I'm just sort of like letting you know that it wasn't me, as Shaggy says. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, Auntie Jean. Yes, I did put in the chat for the mango tree tomorrow. So if you can't get through to Sis Doctor, and I put the contact details in there.
One last try. Sis Doctor, are you there? No, I can't see. All right then. All right. Yeah. So I'll say a big thank you. Have I left anything else? Is there anything left out?
I've just
Could you
a message regarding the drumming that takes place in well, it's actually at Fordham Park, which is Pagnell Street, on Sunday between 1 and 3, for anybody who would like to do a bit of drumming as part of their therapy. Great session.
Thank you. Big thank you to Ezinwa and also Sister Anyanna for their presentation and also the insight of what's actually happening in Nigeria at the moment. And also big thank you to the one and only Omowale Pert-em-Hru, who's going to be doing some drumming on Saturday is it fundraising for the
Vincent, that's right.
For St. Vincent in Brixton.
Yeah.
So you can
Windrush
join Windrush Square. So you can join the drumming session there. And I think there's also a March meeting in Hyde Park. So you've got a choice of places to go tomorrow. And also, if you're not going anywhere, you've got the Under the Mango Tree at between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock via Zoom with Sis Dr. Sandra Richards and Royston John, almost forgot his name. So big thank you for everybody for joining us here. Big thank you for everybody joining us on Facebook, and also a massive big thank you for everybody listening to us on Black Culture Radio, which is the Auntie Jean Zone, Black Culture Radio, all the W's, blackcultureradio.com. And big thank you also to Sister Shez and our sister, I need to give you a different name, Patricia and Galactic Clyde. I almost call you Pauline.
Shez, I know you read it out in the Strand. Somebody actually asked in the chat for the address for the court.
Yeah, I've put it in the. It's in there.
It's in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, I've put that in there. I put that in there.
Okay, so and I added thing.
And the postcode. Sorry, Auntie Jane, and the postcode as well.
Brilliant.
Okay, so for an added thing, for those who want to, you can actually download the chat to your device by clicking on the 3 dots beside file on by where it says in the chat, and that will download the actual chat to your device. So you'll be able to have all the links there, the information, and also the court details for Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday, 10 o'clock. So can be there for support. Okay, brilliant. I think that is it.
Brilliant. Yes, I think it is.
Okay,
that's
wonderful.
A good night from me.
You sound like this is the Ronnies. And a
That's
good
right.
night
So
from
I
here.
wanted to
A
stand
good
like,
night
yeah.
from here.
I'm glad that you caught onto it. You're showing your age, Auntie G.
It's a good night from here.
Robert Cobbett and Robert Parker, yeah?
Yeah. That's right,
Good night,
Brian.
people. Likewise,
Good
likewise,
night.
Shez.
See you.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Likewise.
Good night, everybody. Sleep good.
No,
you
you
too.
stay there.
Thank you so
Stay
much.
going.
I
Good
will.
night, everybody. Thank you for a very informative evening.
See you on Sunday.
Sorry.
Anyanna, stay. Sorry. Okay, good night,
Auntie Jean.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, good night.
Yes.
All.
So somebody's asking a question.
Good night, John boy.
Okay.
Auntie Jean.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Please.
where's it? We can download
From the chat.
yeah.
Right. Do you know?
Well,
Do you know?
because the thing is, you're in sorry, go on.
Carry on.
Yeah, your internet's really bad, and it's been bad, and I could hardly hear a lot of what people were saying, and especially the man talking about the court.
Internet.
Didn't really get it, so the internet's bad.
My
I don't know
internet,
if it's
my internet is fine. I think it's
Someone's
yours, my
internet.
sis. Sorry, I think it's your internet. I'm wired
It's
in. I'm not even using Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm not even
Okay,
using
so can you-
Wi-Fi. I'm wired in, so it's mine is stable, so it might be yours.
Oh, it's this one.
I'm
then.
wired. I'm
Definitely.
wired.
So is there any way too many people talking at once?
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
So is there any way we can? You say we could download this the meeting or the conversation, especially with the court?
Yeah. Do you know where the
Is it-
chat
you were
is?
talking
Go
about
where you
download.
see your chat. So go
No,
to the
Auntie
chat where
Jean.
people put yes.
She's talking about the video.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, the video. Yes. The yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to
so what-
subscribe to the. Yeah, go ahead.
Now go on, Galactic. Go on. You go for it.
Yeah, the videos are loaded onto YouTube, and you can subscribe to.
No,
the
but I know you can
video.
subscribe. But what I was asking, I just want the details. If she's going to put it in chat, so I can subscribe.
Okay. Subscribe to the channel.
Internet's bad. No, the internet is really low. It's bad.
Yes, yeah, I can see because I can see your internet is showing that it's
Yeah, it keeps
it's
coming
not
out.
stable.
Saying
Auntie Jean,
unstable.
can you tell her when it's gonna be on YouTube? I think that's maybe what she needs to know.
Is that what you want to know? Is it actually recording? I thought you wanted to know what's in the chat so you can get the details
Yeah.
for the
Yes,
court.
yes, please.
Yeah.
Right. So the court is on the
Well-
18th.
Well, I thought it could have gone into the chat.
It was.
Would
is-
it go into the chat? Yeah.
It is in there. It is in there. So it's the 18th.
Tuesday.
That's correct. At the Royal Court of Justice.
Royal Court. Okay.
Yeah, the Royal.
Auntie Jean, can you put it in the chat?
Okay,
it is in there.
it's in there.
It's
It's just
there.
we'll do a copy and paste and we put it out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I've just put it back in there. Yeah. Is that okay,
you.
sis? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you
Thank
see
you.
it?
Brilliant. Hey, we got there in the end.
Okay, so it's
I know.
WC2A2LL.
Yeah, I've given it. It's in the chat.
Okay.
I've just.
I see it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Brilliant. Okay.
Wonderful.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Likewise.
Good night.
All right,
Good
good
night.
night, Brian.
Good night.
And God bless. God bless. One love, one heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
One love, one heart. God bless.
Good night.
everybody.
Okay.
Bye,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Oneness.
Right.
See you Sunday.
See you
Likewise.
Sunday. Good night.
Likewise, Shez.
All right.
Likewise.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good night, Brian.
Peace, love, and
Likewise,
light.
Shez. Likewise, Shez.
Yes.
See you Sunday.
See you
Some part
Sunday.
of the coming, you know.
Huh?
Auntie Jean, I'm
Yes?
part of the Ukombozi drumming. I got every
Oh, is
Sunday.
it?
I'm around.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Marlene, our teacher.
Oh,
So we've been
brilliant.
to 10 Downing Street, a drum.
Okay,
Mm.
we met the
went
other,
down
the
the
other
street.
Saturday. Yes, we met the other Saturday and you was in the park.
Yeah, yes,
That's
that was
right.
me. That was me.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, right. It was you that
Okay.
stayed in the park then whilst we was walking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in everywhere now.
No, I know.
Oh,
I know
brilliant.
you did it. We
Yeah.
walked it.
Yes.
All right then.
Oh,
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, but tomorrow we're going to we're going to the Brixton.
Yes,
Brixton
yeah.
Windrush.
Okay.
We'll be there at 1:30 drumming.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah, we're on
Yeah.
a demo. All right.
Oh, you said it. Okay. All right. One
all
loud.
right.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night.
See
Good
you
night,
then.
everyone. Good night.
I'm just on a
Good night.
meeting.
Yeah. Right. Let's start putting people in the
A
waiting.
meeting. Yeah, I have my the Garvey village every Friday. Yeah, I'm nearly finished now.
We
can hear you, dear.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're in trouble.
Anyanna,
You're in trouble.
she's getting her booty call. Don't worry. Find out who that is.
Oh, I forgot. Good night on Facebook. I forgot to turn off.
Wow.